Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in, and we're back with Octane Online Racing for the final round of the season here in the Asia Pacific Thursday splits. And yeah, it's going to be round 10 here. You're in the comms box here with myself, George Cook, and Mike Crick, and we've got, of course, Glenn Germain, who's in the broadcasting studio doing all the complicated technical stuff that completely confuses the rest of us. But yes, Simrigs Sprint Series, final round here at Spa-Francorchamps today. We've got, of course, split blue for you right now, and then split red a little bit later on in the evening. And yes, it is the end of the season, so we'll be looking to see who's going to take the titles in each of the four categories. We've got Pro, Silver, Pro-Am, and Am, all hot and ready to be finalized in the end of the season. But yes, good evening, Mike. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, good. Not too bad this evening. How about you?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Thank you very much. And we've just kicked into qualifying now, and we'll probably end up bringing our standings up at some point. Glenn could finally do that. That'd be brilliant, because we do have some battles finalizing themselves here towards the end of the season, Mike, and it's really down to the wire in only one of the categories at the moment, and that's Am class. But we'll start off with Pro. Jamie Convoy is still in the lead of the Pro category at the moment. We've got Ethan Kale behind him in that lovely Lamborghini, but he's 45 points behind now, and that is going to be a pretty difficult challenge. So Convoy really just needs to finish within a couple of places of Ethan Kale, regardless of where they are around the grid, and he will take the Pro title. Cameron Thistlethwaite for Silver class is running away with things there, but a good lead over Leela Bell. She is going to have a mega race, or he is going to have a really bad race, and that'll change things around. But at the moment, looking pretty much settled at the moment. In Pro-Am class, it is Steve Lewis who is running away with things. He's got a very good lead over Ashley Vediger. Nearly 100 points difference between those two. But the real battle today, the one we're going to be keeping an eye on for sure, is going to be for Am class. So it's right now it's between James Lawrence and Afdal Sebi, and there is only 8 points between them, Mike. So that's going to be the one to keep an eye on today, as well as the top championship battle for Pro.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see who's going to take out the top there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which one of Lawrence and Sebi are going to take. Because they have been reasonably close all season. It's good to see both drivers are here tonight. So yeah, it'll be cool to see who actually gets that last place position. But it's still up for grabs. Convoy could have a shocker. And yeah, cool go Ethan Kale's way today.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think in Split Yellow yesterday, we had the Am Championship decided on the last lap of the race, with the leader of the Am class getting a drive-through, I think it was. And yeah, unfortunately, that meant that the person in second place, well, unfortunately for the first place person at the time, they ended up winning the Am class. So yeah, it can come down to the wire, which is always nice. I hear that Split Green was in the dry, Split Yellow was in the rain, so we're going to be keeping an eye on the weather as well today, and a bit of a mix of opinions on this track here in the comms box tonight. Mike, you're not a fan, and I am a fan.
Unequivocally not a fan of this track. It's rubbish, it's overrated, and I absolutely abhor it, and I hate racing here, and I'm not looking forward to doing 24 hours.
Yeah, I am the opposite. Very much looking forward to 24 hours here at Spa, but the 24 hours part is the part that's going to be keeping me up at night. We're on board at the moment with Ethan Kale in that lovely OES livery Lamborghini. He's doing some good times. We'll see the first hot laps come in shortly. Welcome into chat, everyone. We've got T-Mac, we've got Peach, we've got Oz Carlos, and the Valiant Knight, I should say, in chat. So welcome in, everyone, to chat. Lovely to have you on here for the final round of the season. And of course, a little bit of housekeeping while we wait for these out laps to be completed, or first hot laps to be completed. Simrigs.com is our sponsor for the Sprint Series here at Octane Online Racing. They do a great job, and if you're on OOR Patreon, you do get 5% off, so keep that in mind. The Patreon does help us to run things in the background. A lot of effort going in by the team in the background, so do consider that, and you get that 5% off as Ethan Kale comes across the line for the first lap.
Yeah, and a 2:17 there, so a good opening lap there. But with the track conditions as they are, do you reckon? I think a 2:16 is definitely on the cards for all these drivers.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and the temperatures are definitely conducive to that as well. It's nice and sunny out there. Track condition looks to be optimum at the moment. Ethan Kale's already found 3/10 at the source, so he's going to be rapid. But you're absolutely right. In the practice session, I think I saw Jamie Conboy hit the 16s, so I'm expecting to see at least 2 or 3 drivers in that kind of range today. Very tricky to do, though, getting it all hooked up. And then, of course, we've got invalidations to worry about in qualifying and track limits in the race.
Yeah, track limits are a really big deciding factor here at Spa, especially in the dry when you're really pushing it. Just a slight different line through a Rouge and Radion can catch you pretty easily. But there's so many corners here where you can just be pushing that little bit too hard, and yeah, you completely you get a track limits penalty. It's really easy to stack them up, and we're not cancelling out track limit penalties, which we have done in previous seasons. With this season, in this particular race, we are actually doing it so that the excuse me for a moment there. So we're doing it so you do have to serve the full drive-through penalty, which is very punishing here because Spa has the longest possible pit lane in the game.
Yeah, exactly. We have the full 24-hour layout here as we get Shea McLaws in the 42 car goes across the line, and a 2:17.642. Still about 6 or 7 tenths off the pace that we're expecting to see today. Hale on board with now, or just on board with, was up on his time, and Conboy as well. So the 2 championship contenders for the pro class going at it right now, and this looks to be a pretty good lap for Conboy. I think that is Ethan Kale right behind him, I think, as well. So these 2 running in tandem through this race, and yeah, Mike makes a good point there about the drive-throughs. 24-hour layouts in terms of the pit lane as well. That means you have to drive past, what is it, like 40 pit boxes before you go round the corner, and then there's another 40 pit boxes. That's where you actually pit, and then you've got that horrendous exit that is full of bumps.
Yeah, you're not selling me on Spa anymore than I already hated it. It's just so many things to hate about this track. But we're seeing Conboy come across here. This looks to be a pretty good time. Yeah, there you go. He smashes the 216. So 216.6 there. So a good opening salvo there from Jamie Conboy. Let's see if Ethan has something to match, or even Grant Begg. We've seen some fast times from pretty much everyone at the top 10 at the moment. So be curious to see if anyone can match that.
Exactly right. Yeah, I think Kale just came through beforehand with a 2:16.655. So he's just holding onto that lead, 35 hundredths of a second between them at the moment. McLaws is who we're on board with at the moment. He's found 3/10 in sector 2, coming up to one of the trickier sections here into the Blanchimont corners, and through Stavelot, I should say, into Blanchimont. Not easy to get right, I'm gonna say, especially in the wet, which is always fun. And oh, look how close. I mean, you've got to really send it around these corners because the straight line speed matters. It's the same with Eau Rouge. You really don't want to be lifting off, but that is exactly where those track limits come into play. Even around here towards the back straight, very fast right-hander. You've got to sweep it and keep it on the curbs as you come up towards the final chicane. The bus stop chicane, which is there's a whole bunch of no-name corners at this place, and that is very deep from McLaws. Yeah, he's lost all that time in that corner.
Yeah, just an unfortunate little mistake there. Very easy to do going into the bus stop, especially when you're on a really hot lap. You want to try and lose as little time as possible. It's so easy to lose it there at that bus stop. It's such an awkward corner, and it's so unlike every other corner on the track that it really breaks the rhythm when you get to it. So it's one of those corners that can really catch you out. But I'm sure he'll be able to get that time back and still improve on his time in his next try.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of philosophies actually around how to tackle the bus stop. Some people like to go in kind of deep, run out wide, and then just brake a little bit, turn it hard, throw on the throttle. Some people want to open up that second part of the chicane. Kind of depends on whether you're racing someone or not, but yeah, it's a tricky one, very tricky one. Lots of tricky corners here. I mean, every corner is very tricky. It's I suppose that's part of the love-hate relationship we can have with a place like Spa. But yep, on board with Brad Cook at the moment, 695 in the Porsche, and he's done pretty well. He's getting quite close to the 216s, found 2/10. Going through the last sector at the moment. Ben Thomas in 4th place, the 201 car. He's gone up and done a good time there. Then Leela Bell, who is ahead of her championship competitor for silver class in Cameron Thistlethwaite. Not quite sure where he was up in the top 8, but now falling down. Let's keep an eye on what Brad Cook can do in these last couple of corners. A very white, very bright Porsche goes across the line. A little bit of time lost at the exit of the bus stop. It's still good enough to hold on to 3rd place, 2.5 tenths away from Jamie Conboy.
Yeah, he's still got a reasonable gap there to Thomas, so he shouldn't be too upset with that, but I reckon he's going to be pushing more. In fact, he's gained 2 tenths already through that first corner, so that could be the ticket here. He could be on for higher up in that podium standing.
Yeah, I mean, I do love this place, but I really hate La Source. I hate to say it. It's a nice corner, but it's one of those corners where you seem to be able to find time on nearly every single lap. Then you've got another 2 minutes to spend driving around this track to try and hold on to that time. And it's so easy to bleed off the speed. I mean, often you go into Lacoon, which he is now, and yeah, you just suddenly find that you've lost the time. Easy to ride that curb, get the car squiggly on the exit, and suddenly you're not lined up for the third part of these S's, which is exactly what happened there. Ran the curb a little bit. Now going on board with Brad Cook here. See what he can do. Through Rivage he goes. Another tricky double hairpin, double apex corner. I actually really like this one. I hate it in the wet. It's horrible in the wet, but it's very, very nice, I think, in the try. He's not finding much time here, but nice and smooth through No Name corner into Puon now. Commentator's curse being called out already in the chat. Everyone knows that I'm notorious for handing these out. So that's what you come here to watch Split Blue for, I think.
Yeah, really unfortunate there. The start of that lap was great. You saw him just smash it all the way over through Rouge and Radigon. He was really on the ball over here, just losing it. And like you said, Spa is just a track like that. It's part of why I despise it so much. It's a tiny little mistake just cost you an entire lap, and you've got another few minutes to go through and try it again, especially when you're trying to do a really hot qualifying lap. Just those tiny little errors. It's a track that's all about speed and momentum, and I mean all racetracks are like that. Spa especially, those tiny little mistakes will really cost you.
Yeah, we just saw one of those tiny little mistakes as he came through Stabilar, and then you lose speed all the way down the back straight. He was only about 0.02 of a second behind his best time. He's gained a lot of that back on braking. And a nice wide exit there. He'll be able to go on power early, but it has cost him a lot of time. Another 4 tenths being cost. So unfortunately there for Brad Cook, he'll go out for another lap. There's 3 minutes left in this qualifying at the moment. No one really setting much faster times as it stands right now. Going on board with Ethan Kale through Eau Rouge, or up Eau Rouge, I should say. Nicely done there. Hard to keep that pin, really, really is. And that's going to be the challenge, especially during the race.
I believe he just invalidated that lap.
Oh, he might well have, actually. You're right.
Yeah, his indicator up there. No, he's still good. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, no, but that's the margin, though, isn't it? Like, it's 1 millimeter. Every time I go through a Rouge, I think I've invalidated it. Then I have to double check, and then suddenly it says, no, you're fine. I'm going, how is that fine? I'm really unsure.
Yeah, Rouge is that corner where I sit there and I go, okay, I've got a few options, and you're either going to invalidate the lap, you're going to die, or you're just going to get through. And he's just gotten through there.
Yeah, fine margins, isn't it? Really, really is. And I mean, it's full commitment. I mean, one of the reasons why I like this track, I think why a lot of people do like this track, is because it's got that full commitment aspect to it. If you're not completely committed, I mean, especially in Eau Rouge is a great example. That was very close for Convoy through the no-name corner. He's lost a little bit of time on exit, but I'm sure he'll find that back again. He's up on his time at the moment. Through Puon he goes. But yeah, full send is kind of the motto here for Spa. And if you're not finding ways to use every part of the track and to be brave, throwing on the throttle, I mean, it's a balance. It really is a balance between just full send and the limit that you're going to be hitting. Nice, he's found another 10th there. So he's gained a 10th, lost a 10th, gained a 10th. And that, if anything, is typical of Spa.
Yeah, and looking at his last best time, he lost most of it in this final sector here. So if he can just hold this little gap here, he's on for pole.
He certainly is. And I'm not sure if Convoy's going, Ethan Kale's going faster. No, he's not at the moment, though Convoy is now on for a pole position with this lap. And there's only 1 minute left in this qualifying as well. Hard on the brakes, he goes into the final chicane. Oh, that is a great entry. He's gained a whole bunch of time. Throws it through the last part of the corner. He's lost a bit of exit speed, unfortunately, but it is good enough for a pole lap. 2:16.617. Jamie Convoy goes to pole position.
Still barely separated, almost exactly the same gap that Ethan had on him with his previous lap. We're seeing Ethan now going through what will probably be his final run at it, and he's currently holding steady on his time.
they do seem to be finding a lot of time on the entry to these corners at the moment. But again, losing it on exit it's a tricky balance to maintain here. Some drivers would prefer to lose a bit of time on entry to prioritize the exit. It'll depend on the corners, but it's a real mix between those two. A lot of corners here, you really need to prioritize the entry speed. Rivage, which he's just gone through, is one of those, as is the no-name corner, which he's just gone through as well. But just setting flat zeros at the moment, lost a little bit of time on exit. We'll see. And Comboy is coming around for another lap, and he's up on his time again. But this is really it. This is crunch time for Ethan Kale. Can he put it on pole?
Yeah, and again, even Comboy's last lap, you know, he gained a whole bunch of time on the final corner, but he lost a bunch as well. So he's still got time there. He's still slower than Ethan on that final sector. So that final sector is really a determining factor here. I don't know how much of the car is impacting that, but the Lamborghini's got just a little bit of an extra edge on the McLaren in that regard. But the McLaren seems to be the really popular choice for Spire at the moment. So let's see how he goes.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Just looking down the grid as well, Grant Begg is leading Silver Class at the moment. He's in the pit lane, so he's done. Leela Bell as well, second place. Ben Thomas in the Pro-Am class has set a stonking lap. Hasn't changed the early part of this qualifying, but he is holding on to 5th overall right now, which is great. Jay Carter behind him. And in the Am class battle, Sebi is qualified. I think that is 7 positions in front of Lawrence. No, sorry, that's just changed. That's now 4 positions. So Sebi has got the early advantage there in the Am class fight. Cross the line, and Kale cannot improve to get anywhere close to Comboy there. Well, he is very, very close. I shouldn't say that, but fortunately wasn't quite enough to get that pole position.
Yeah, the pressure's a bit off there for Comboy, as he seems to have not completed that last lap either. So we are done with qualifying. It does look like Sebi did manage to hold on to that position, like you said, 4 positions ahead. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting race ahead.
Certainly will. All right, we'll be going to our track walk soon. Just a reminder, of course, Simrigs.com sponsoring the Sprint Series. This is the last round of the season, 10 out of 10. I think we've all been enjoying this longer format of the season. I certainly have been. It is actually only my second season, so I can't really talk too much about that. But nonetheless, Simrigs.com, check them out. And here we go. We're going to be, there we go, 5% off in store if you are an OOR Patreon. So do please consider becoming a Patreon of the league. A lot of hard work goes in behind the scenes, and Patreon is one way to give something back to the league that we all enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. I've got my eye on some Sim Magic P1000s at the moment, and I'm definitely going to be going to Simrigs for it to take advantage of that discount.
Excellent. That is a excellent choice as well. I'm very jealous, actually. Nice, but my jealousy aside, here we go on our track walk now, and it is Comboy, of course, in the lead. He's taken pole position. And he is all set. If he can get through Eau Rouge cleanly and get a good start here, he'll be all set. Then we've got, of course, Kale and then Cook, P2 and P3, and then Grant Begg. So the old Grant Begg for Pro by Mia Rose has been thrown up in chat once again. The Monster Energy McLaren on your right of your screen there. And then we have Ben Thomas. Now, he's put in a very, very nice lap. I was about to swear there, and I stopped myself, luckily. But he's done a very, very nice lap there. Put himself in the top 5 of this race. Just needs to keep it clean through the first parts of the race. He should be good. And we've got Leela Bell, who's qualified ahead of her championship competitor, Cameron Thistlewaite. Then we have Carter on the left-hand side, followed by McLaws in P8. There's Cameron Thistlewaite in the Mercedes, the blue Mercedes that we've come to love in Split Blue. He's got a bit of work to do today. And then we have Taylor, Pro Class driver, and P9 there. I think that is, sorry, P10. Sorry, can't read my screen. And then McMahon's there as well. So that's a lovely livery, actually. Look at those. A nice little bit of Kiwi art on the side of the car. I have to admit, I do like that quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a great design. He's sort of carried it across a few different cars as well and managed to make it work. Lots of good cars here as we continue to go down the grid. As you see, there's Sebi in basically pole position for AM class at the moment with a decent gap to Lawrence. As we can go through, there's the candy-coloured car everyone likes. There's Lawrence there in the Midas Ferrari. As we continue down the order, and we've got a nice livery there on the left. Very, very loud there. You're not going to miss that one. Kind of between 7 Marsh there. In other of our AM class drivers, and all the way at the back, actually, we have Ashton Reynolds, who's unusual to see all the way at the back of the grid. Quite a fast customer, so interesting to see how he makes some grounds.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to have a bit of a fun overtaking session today, it seems. But everyone's going to be happy on the grid. It's 30 degrees Celsius, track temperature 23 ambient, and optimum conditions with no sign of rain at all. So a lot of happy customers there, I think, today on the grid. They're going to be pretty stoked. And yeah, comment on Hayden Marsh's car. He's a friend of mine, and he's talked to me about his livery before. And the reason why he has made it so bright and so colourful is that he keeps getting hit. So he thought, look, I'll make my livery really, really colourful and really, really bright, and hopefully I won't get hit as much. That was the theory behind it. Let's see if it pays off from today. He'll be starting in P21 out of P23 on the grid. And yeah, you couldn't ask for better conditions here at Spa. It's nice when it's dry. It's nice when the weather doesn't change. But these are pretty hot conditions. And there is only one mandatory stop today. There's a pit window that'll start 5 minutes after the race, so 55 minutes all the way down to 5 minutes remaining, 50 minutes to make your stops in this hour-long race. It might be a bit tricky on tyres with this amount of heat on the grid, but 30 minutes on a set of tyres, Mike, it's not really a massive issue.
No, it's not stressing the cars too much. Cook might have some problems, and Bell and any of the Porsches might have some problems. They do tend to overheat tyres as well. Thistlewaite in the Mercedes, repping the one Mercedes in the grid, good on you, Thistlewaite. Might also have a few issues. It does sort of burn its tyres a little bit, but these track conditions are pretty much the best you could hope for a race like this. So I don't think any of the drivers are going to have too many problems.
Exactly. If anything, it'll just provide them with a bit more grip, I should say. And that will hopefully allow them to get away cleanly as we go through Sector 2 now towards Pouin. We've had a question in the chat. Maybe Glenn can answer this question in the background, asking if Reynolds had a qualifying ban or something. It is possible, and that would explain why he's further down the grid. We'll see if we can find out for everyone. But if not, then he's made the decision to made a conscious decision, I should say, to start further down the grid, or just didn't have time for qualifying. So we will see. But yes, this is going to be interesting. Always interesting at the start. Of course, the cars will go around the source for the start of the race, and then we'll kick off things directly into Eau Rouge and Raidillon, which is, yeah, it basically puts the drivers into the fun zone immediately, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And just quickly, just some confirmation there that Reynolds did not have a qualifying ban. So it's either just invalidated every single lap, or he's just joined too late. Whatever the case, he's got a little battle ahead of him, but I'm sure Reynolds will provide us with some entertainment as he makes his way through the field, as they're going to start to go double file here through the final sector, heading all the way up here. It's a long formation lap, a lot of nerves there. Convoy will be really hoping to get the best of Kale here. He doesn't have to beat him on track, but I think he's going to want to.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage of the race, you don't need to take any risks, but, you know, it's all for the honor of it at the end of the day, isn't it? You can't stop a race car driver from wanting to race, from wanting to go fast, and I get the feeling that JC is going to be pretty keen to round out his season with a win here. You don't really want to win the entire season when you're in P2 or P3, so, yeah, if I was in his seat, I would certainly be looking to take the race win here. But, as you said, he can finish probably at least 3 or 4 places, if not 5 or 6, behind Kale and still take the championship in Pro Class. So he can basically weather the storm here. Whatever happens will happen, and he'll be basically taking advantage regardless. Now, the race directors will have instructed the drivers to drive through their pit boxes. Sorry, not their pit boxes. That would be an interesting start, wouldn't it? Everyone starting from the pit. No, through their grid boxes. So we should see a slightly more orderly start this time as they go through La Source before the race, and we're about to get started. So I'll take us away for the beginning of this race. Let's see what the drivers can do in this final round here, round 10 at Spa for the Simrigs Octane Online Racing Simrigs Sprint Series. Final round. Let's see what these drivers can do and put on a good show for us today as we go across the final line. We should be going through green any second. There's the green flag on the side of the race. 2 by 2, they'll file up Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Let's see. Hopefully no contact. Looks good so far. Great aerial shot. Thistlewaite got a good start there. It's fighting a little bit. There's a bit of contact though. There is contact. Oh, big accident down the back of the grid. That could be a safety car. There is 5 cars involved with that right now. We'll see. There is a safety car. And almost inevitable, unfortunately, wasn't it, Mike? Shame for these drivers, really unlucky.
Yeah, it looked like Trainer there. I'm not sure what exactly happened. That did look like the BMW of Trainer that was the big victim in that incident, going straight into the wall and just unfortunately a passenger and sliding across the track. I'm sure he was holding his brakes, but even if you're holding your brakes at that kind of impact, it's just the car's just out of your control.
Yeah, you are the definition of a passenger at that stage, unfortunately. And I do wonder who he's unfortunately taken out. Looks like it might have been Parkin, Harsh, and Wood as well, potentially. So Hayden Marsh's livery is not quite paid off this time, unfortunately for him. But yeah, no, once you hit the barrier at the top of Eau Rouge, you are going across the track regardless. And yeah, you're a passenger. There's nothing you can do. Hold your brakes as much as you like. The car is going to slide across the track. And unfortunately, those cars behind did get collected. Hard to see when you're behind on the grid. If you're lower down in Eau Rouge and Radion, hard to see if a car has just done that in front of you.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where you kind of don't want to be too far back because it's very common for an incident to happen there, and you're basically going in blind as we look back at it. So we are looking at Trainer here as we go through. Oh, it looks like, I'm not sure whose Porsche that was. It's just tapped the front of Trainer there, and that's just caused a massive cascade.
Yeah, that's right. Looks like, Trainer had a sort of wide entry, a wide line. At some point, he was going to have to come back onto the track, so the other car there might not have been aware that he was there. Yeah, so actually, the car who made contact with Trainer sort of went rather deep as well. That's really unfortunate for all those drivers. You can see Marsh and Wood there being sent off into the barrier, collected by Trainer, who was a complete passenger. All three of them complete passengers in this situation, sadly. So I'm sure the stewards will be having a little look at that one, but it's just really unfortunate. We'll try and find out who that was that made the contact, but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
It might even have been Sevi or Vediga there. It's definitely a Porsche. I'm not sure of the liveries, so I'm not entirely sure which car that was.
Yeah, too right. All right, so the safety car is coming in this lap. We've had about 100 meters in this race so far, and then we've been immediately under safety car. They didn't even get halfway down the Kemmel Straight. Let's hope for a better restart this time. Fastest lap set by Ethan Cale, a 3:34. That's pacey. Anyway, we look forward to the restart of this race. And Mike, if you'd like to, you can take us away for the safety car restart. Oh, we're on.
Something very wrong has happened here. So Ethan Cale almost caught napping. It looked like there was a Monster Energy car that went just straight up the inside there. So I'm not sure if that's a full start. It just looked like Cale didn't push the restart. Yeah, we have another safety car. So something very wrong there. I think it was McClaws there. He's just taken off too early before Ethan Cale has actually gone for the start. So Ethan most likely waiting until the main straight, the main run onto Eau Rouge to actually push the loud pedal and go. But yeah, McClaws there it's just gone early.
Yeah, that's completely bizarre. We saw McClaw's car just absolutely fly after he started around the bus stop chicane. Somehow thought that the race had been restarted already, but generally you have to transit through La Source before you get that restart. So we're going to get a replay of it now, and here's McClaws. We're sort of looking at his car right now, and you see he's just going to throw the throttle on about now and just go for it. Yeah, I mean, we hadn't restarted. Sorry, Mr. McClaws, but you jumped the start there in quite the mega fashion, and that is going to cop you a penalty, I suspect. The stewards will be looking at that, and we go for another lap with the safety car. Everyone else caught napping, and then the confusion ensued. Hopefully there wasn't any contact behind there as well, but it looked like there might have been as well.
I'd like to get some stewards. Hopefully there's a steward or two in the chat. Maybe advise us on the exact ruling there, because as far as my understanding goes, the leader is in control of the field and gets to decide when they go, even after the start-finish time. So I'm not entirely sure what it is. Maybe it's just Ethan's completely fumbled it and forgotten that the start-finish line is actually back where it is, because it is in a different position to where you start the race. So it'd be good to get a clarification there. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely not the start we were expecting, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly right. There's some people in the chat saying miscommunication on start-finish line. Idiotic, they get a penalty for that. Yeah, I mean, that's probably right at the end of the day. I'm a little bit unsure on the rules on this myself. I thought that Convoy was he was leading the race, so it should have been Convoy leading us away for the start. We're just double checking the, yeah, we're just double checking who was actually restarting that. It did look like Ethan was ahead of Convoy down towards the source. We've got another replay of this, so we're going to have a little look and see what we can see. Ah, right, so he is. So Kale is actually ahead, so he's managed to get ahead just before the safety car came out, the first safety car, and that meant that he was in control of the race. Convoy was sort of side by side with him. I wonder if Kale's just either mixed things up or given a signal that he was going, but then didn't. We'll keep an eye on this replay, see what we can see, but yeah, very, very odd situation here at the start of this race.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously the safety car has not been deployed for any kind of incident. It's obviously just so we can sort of work the field out. Because yeah, it looks like you can see JC sort of not understanding why Ethan's not gone either, and McLaws is the only one who's sort of gone, well, I'm just going to go because I'm allowed to. If that is the rule, then I mean, yeah, you can't really pull back McLaws for that. You know, he has passed after the start-finish line, which is what you're meant to do. He sort of waited for that opportunity, and yeah, this might just be a big brain. Oh, and when we're racing, we're back into it. Okay, so the field order hasn't changed, so obviously the ruling is that McLaws gets to keep that position as he now leads the race from Jamie Convoy, Brad Cook, Grant Begg, Corey Taylor, and then Ethan Cale in 6th position. So dropped a few places there. Yeah, we're racing.
Wow. So yeah, it looks like that the restart line is actually just after the chicane. I would have thought it would have been after La Source because that's where we get the green flag, but obviously things are slightly different here at Spa. And in a way, it does make sense, but yeah, I guess at the end of the day, all you've got to say is big brain strats there from McLaws, who absolutely sent it, and before the safety car came out, he was in P1. There's Ethan Cale trying to make a move at the back there on Chris Taylor. Wasn't able to do it, nearly got sideways. Convoy will be on the back of McLaws and try to get that position back as well. But a fascinating start to the beginning of this race. Unlucky for those in the first safety car, and then a totally bizarre situation that has been taking place here. But we are finally racing with 52 minutes remaining on the clock, and now it's time to get into the thick of it.
Yeah, well, Kale's got a lot of work to do now to make up for that mistake there. As we see, oh, we've got our first drive-through. We've got Sebi getting a drive-through. I don't know what that would be for. Surely that wouldn't be for any sort of incident. He may have already picked up track limits, but geez, that's a good effort.
Oh, that is
there
a good
effort.
There we go.
So Sebi was that Porsche that was involved there most likely and has been judged to. That's a harsh penalty there for Sebi there. That's not going to benefit his championship.
No, it certainly isn't. Yeah, exactly. So we've got JB Lawrence is down in P22 at the moment, and given the way but he's in the pits at the moment. Yeah, okay, so it might not hurt Sebi as much as we think it might, because Lawrence is sitting in the pit lane and is not doing anything on track right now. So yeah, very bizarre situation going on here. Here's Convoy trying to get around on the inside, but McLaws hits the brakes late. Very nice driving there from McLaws, and Convoy will think about the inside. Yep, he's done it because McLaws has gone very, very sideways. Not that sideways. Oh, and Chris Taylor in the background. There's another incident now down at the bus stop chicane. Crikey, this has been the most unbelievable start to a race that I've seen in OOR. There's a little bit of chaos going on all over the track, and there is Chris Taylor on board with them. Now he's going to restart, and oh, he's not timed that particularly well.
That's not a good rejoin there, Taylor. Yeah, so, yep, I mean, typical, if it's not going to happen at a Rouge Radion, it's probably going to happen at the bus stop on the first lap. Well, it's effectively the first lap, even though we are 10 minutes into this race. We've had one flying lap. Convoy now retakes the lead. It looks like McLaws has fallen off a big way, actually. He's all the way down now. Yeah, he's dropped way back.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's dropped right back to P4 behind Grant Begg. So Begg is now leading the silver class in 3rd place overall. Convoy is taking us away. Hale is trying desperately to hold or get past McLaws and then through Begg and Cook and try and get back into that fight with Convoy so he doesn't run away with this too much. But yeah, quite the entertaining start. I've never seen something quite like this. We are on the 2nd racing lap of this race after 11 minutes. Rather bizarre, but entertaining nonetheless. We'll see what happens in the remainder of this race. But yeah, drive through, people in the pits, a shift up down the order already. People asking as well if it was Kale and Chris Taylor that came together at the bus stop chicane. It is quite likely, but we'll see if we can get a replay of that. That'll mean that Kale has probably got a bit of damage on that Lamborghini, because he did have a little bit of contact with Chris Taylor on that restart that we had, the sort of botched restart that we had earlier. So he'll have a bit of damage on the side of that Lamborghini as well as we go through into Sector 3.
Yeah, it hasn't been a nice, clean, easy race for Ethan so far, as he's now down in 5th position trying to get past McLaws, and Convoy still remains lead. He's pulled away quite a bit from Cook there. He's almost 8 tenths ahead already, so Convoy has definitely put that loud pedal down. Well, I mean, shorter race. Here we go. We get a replay of the incident. So it is Taylor and Kale. Oh, no, Taylor's just lost it on his own there. He's just, he caught, oh dear.
Oh, wow.
This is why I don't drive the Porsche.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. And that is the other OAS Lamborghini coming into contact as well. So that, unfortunately, an unforced error there from Chris Taylor. He was a little bit wide on the entry, trying to get the cutback on Kale, and then he's just put the throttle down and spun it, yeah. Peach in chat saying, turned off a TC, quite possibly, or just Porsche doing Porsche things. You see a couple coming into the pits. Carter is just coming out of the pits now. There's some already doing their mandatory pit stop here. And yeah, I mean, we're 17 minutes away from what I would call the typical stopping point. Usually people trying to half things on this race. And we've also got Kale trying to make a move now on McLaws into the Lacoombs S's. Doesn't make it happen. He's, yeah, way too far back for that move, unfortunately. But he definitely is thinking he needs to get a move on now.
Yeah, McLaws doesn't seem to be very strong through Rouge and Radion. He's lost time there on both these 2 laps, and he's actually just almost let Ethan Kale by there. He's gone just a little bit wide, so that battle has ended. But it has allowed McLaws to get fairly distant from Thomas and P6, so he's got a decent gap behind him now, but he's still got Ethan Kale ahead to chase down. As we see, that's Lawrence. So Lawrence still racing, so there he is. Lawrence is still racing. He's obviously doing his pit stop early, and he has cleared his pit stop, obviously doing it within the mandatory pit window. So Lawrence is going to have a long race to the end now.
Very long race in that Midas Ferrari, but you know, Lawrence is obviously trying to alternate the strategy here, and hopefully that'll work out. Sebi is 49 seconds in front, but a pit stop up. I don't quite know what the full pit length is here today. Probably, I mean, it's going to be at least 50 seconds. So
it's long.
It is long. That is correct. That's the technical term for it. It's the correct term for it. So Sebi is probably going to be under pressure from Lawrence. Lawrence could still take away some extra points here and potentially take the AM-class win. We'll keep an eye on that. On board at the moment with Grant Begg, who's had a bit of a mega start here. He's not taken quite as much advantage of that botched start as McLaws did, but has managed to hold on to the position, which unfortunately McLaws has not been able to do. Fastest lap of the race just been set at 2:16.9 from Convoy. So yeah, you were right when he said he's put the loud pedal down. He's stamped it into the floor and is bending the chassis.
Yeah, he's almost 7/10 up from Cook on that last lap. So yeah, he's absolutely flying at the moment, and just asserting himself, I think, and just trying to build that gap as long as he possibly can before his inevitable first pit stop.
Exactly right. We should be seeing pit stops in about 15 minutes. We'll keep an eye. Keep an eye on that. As Mike has just said, we've had a few in the pits already, and Begg is really putting the pressure on Cook, as you said before. And we've got a little bit more lap traffic coming through the grid, I believe, because that is not Ethan Kale's OES Lamborghini up front. That is Ethan Kale just behind Grant Begg still. So looking down the grid in terms of the categories, leading, of course, pro class at the moment is Jamie Convoy. Then we've got in silver class Grant Begg, who's ahead of McLaws, who's second in class. Leela Bell is quite far ahead of Thistleweight at the moment. So this could be very interesting. It could be on in silver class if Thistleweight doesn't have a good result here today. And that is the lap traffic being pulling over nicely to the side, letting all these faster cars go through at the top of the grid. But Thistleweight, Cameron Thistleweight, down in P14 right now, Mike.
Yeah, dropped quite a few positions from where they started in that top 10. So got a little bit of work to do. Only 2 tenths off Bendick though, so still definitely within that top 10. Speaking of which, actually, Ashton Reynolds has jumped all the way up to P11 after starting at the back of the grid. So had a very good start there, obviously avoiding a lot of the incidents as we see now moving into P10.
Yeah, it's a nice little move there. Through the S's we go. A lovely flowing section. You might disagree with me, Mike, but I have to admit I do like this part of the track. That corner, though, just coming into just before Stablot, horrible. So I won't disagree with anyone on that. But yes, Reynolds, wow, what a start there from P23 all the way up to P10. He's, I think, lucky is the fair term to use here, because he was at the back of the grid for when Traynor had that incident with Sebi, and yeah, he's managed to avoid that, which is fairly lucky in some ways.
Yeah, again, probably 4 or 5 positions just from avoiding anything there, as you see. Just losing the tail there, going through the bus stop, but yeah, looking to make a charge as he's chasing down Salvaggio now. He's got about 3 seconds now. That's Lawrence in front, which is a lapped car. Lawrence just doing his thing at the back of the grid here, trying to obviously maintain that gap to Sebi ahead. I wonder the points difference at the moment. I think Lawrence could probably take Sebi here, but we'll just have to see how that develops once Sebi does their eventual pit stop. That drive-through penalty obviously hurting him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for Lawrence because, yeah, Lawrence will have to put in some reasonably good average lap times. There is Grant Begg making a move around the outside of Cook, and he's done it pretty well, but they're still going side by side. Space given by Begg. Very nice. Kale wants a part of this as well, but is not going to have any chance to take a bite of Brad Cook as they head into Rivage. Down the hill we go. There's about something like 30 meters of elevation change on this track, and they're just heading down the hill at the moment. As you can see, through No Name Corner we go. But Begg moves up into P2. Now Brad Cook will be looking in the mirrors and going, darn, I've got Ethan Kale behind me. And Kale's going, right, I nearly had 2 for 1 there. Is there maybe another opportunity to do that through the last sector? Quite possibly, but yeah, it's tricky to overtake here in a lot of ways because it's such a flowing sector. You're always on the outside of the track, and if you go to the inside of some of these corners or break early or go defensive, you're going to be losing a lot of time and compromising yourself through these sequences of corners.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got an interesting battle here for P2 at the moment. Convoy continues to just streak ahead of everybody else in this battle, no doubt helping him do that as well, now almost 5 seconds ahead, but these 3 are chasing down that coveted P2 as we get a replay of the overtake. Ooh. So this battle must have started a fair way back because it's started at the bus stop and we didn't see the actual overtake until the end of the straight. So yeah, it keeps going.
Oh, and another send there. So yeah, Begg was all over Brad Cook, but just kept compromising himself into the apexes, and that's what allowed the Porsche of Cook to keep ahead. But yeah, it was sort of all she wrote once he got a good exit and run through Eau Rouge, which we're just seeing now on this replay. That overspeed effect, the slipstream happened, and that was a bit wide from Brad Cook as well. And we will see Grant Begg there dive up the inside. I think Cook's gone defensive. Yeah, so this is how it happened. Going into Lacombe on the outside, has the overspeed and brakes just a little bit later than Cook. Cook knows he's got the inside line, so he'll be a little bit cautious there. And Begg, yep, that's how it got done. Kale just having a little look still, but yeah, no, wasn't going to happen for Kale. But very nice move there. Took 4 corners and a run down the Kemmel Straight, but he did it. Oh, that's a moment as well for Grant Begg. The track temperature, I do note, Mike, has increased by 1 degree Celsius, so now 31 degrees on track. So maybe not too surprising that we're seeing some of the rear ends of these cars starting to step out.
Yeah, and it's inevitable as the drivers push this that a little bit harder. It feels to me like Cook's struggling a little bit with the lack of the straight line speed in the Porsche, because we are seeing him he's losing it out on those straights there, and he's having to defend quite heavily. We saw it there from Begg, and now we're seeing it with Kale. Lamborghini, despite the big V10, isn't the paciest on the straights. It's faster than the Porsche for sure, but it really does depend on how they've got those cars set up. Yeah, exactly right.
I was saying earlier about Lawrence with the longest stint, he's going to have to be looking after those tyres maybe just a little bit at the start of the stint, because if Lawrence is anywhere close to Sebi at the end or ahead, Sebi will have fresher tyres, so it will be easier for Sebi to catch up, and Lawrence will just have to put in some consistent laps. But Grant Begg now falling a little bit back towards the front bumper of Cook. They're going to be pretty close as they come towards the bus stop chicane, pretty much flat out all the way through this last sector here and through this very, very fast left-hand corner. Tricky to get right, don't run wide. We'll be keeping an eye on track limits as well as we go through. Brad Cook's just a little bit too far for a send there, but we did see Beg go for a massive send on the previous lap before the overtake, and has done well there, though, to hold off Cook. And Kale's still in tow, and McLaws has not let them escape either, actually.
Yeah, no, still holding on there in 5th position. Very disappointed that he kind of lost that P1 as quickly as he did, but probably still pretty happy to be in 5th position there. But just a little bit further away from Grant Baker, still maintaining this P2 and doing very well. I think if he's not pro next season, there's going to be some big questions.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. And we've got Mr. Peach, Mr. Senekis in the chat with some amazing little puns and quips here. He says, "I'll grant you that was a good move. Now let him cook. If you want me to stop, you'll have to beg." Oh dear, the bad dad jokes are out.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd give them quite the praise you did.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yes, it has been a long season, as Glenn's just chimed in and said. Yep. So we're all feeling that sarcasm that's starting to creep into chat. He's saying he's a dad. It's allowed. Fair enough. Yep. I can't complain about that. I thought it wasn't too bad actually, as dad jokes go. But yeah, other comments that we have, we'll probably have to stay off stream. This battle continues on track, and Beg is doing a good job to hold off. Beg is doing a good job to hold off Brad Cook. At the moment, I'm starting to get into that zone too. I'm starting to make my own mistakes.
Yeah, well, this battle just continues on. You can see it here. Cook is really gaining on him through the 2nd sector. The Porsche is just giving him absolutely all the grip and all the power that he needs. And it's just, he's got to get close enough. And it looks like he might be on this next one as he's putting the pressure here on Beg. Beg very much under pressure, I believe. Oh, and as we see, Cook there taking a little bit of a hit under the pressure. There'll probably be a track cut for him there. That was pretty wide. Ethan Kale not able to take advantage of it, though. It looked like he had a bit of target fixation and actually followed him through there. So a bit of a lucky escape there from Cook. And he's still managing to hold on to Beg here as they go into the bus stop. But the extra braking performance of the Porsche will help him here. But he's just got to, I think, hold on for these long straights and really try and make a move in that 2nd sector where he seems to have all that pace.
Exactly right. There might be a little difference in setup here. I'm not sure what the Porsche likes to run in terms of wing. You'd imagine at a circuit like this with such long straights that they'd all be running fairly low wing. I do know that the McLarens generally do very nicely with no rear wing whatsoever. They just crank that slider all the way down to as far as low down as it can possibly go. So it might be that Cook here has the downforce advantage, and that might be giving him those better runs through the tighter corners. And was that a little bit wide there from Beg? It might have been. That could be a track limit warning for him too, but you can see how fast he's going. He's sort of running away on the straight, so I get the feeling he's running a very low wing setup. And Peach corrected me, of course, it's not no wing, but it's one wing. Yes, but it might as well be no wing at this stage, the way that the car feels through the corners. So that might be what's happening here. If not, then it's just Porsche doing Porsche things versus McLaren doing McLaren things. But Kale looking a lot closer this time. Battle going on. The P9 now. Reynolds has just managed to get past, I think that was Salvaggio. It might have been Mans. It was Mans. So that's up into P8 now for Reynolds, and Salvaggio will be now on the back of Mans. Those two will continue fighting. So Reynolds continuing his charge up the field.
Yeah, continuing that. I don't know why the leaderboard hasn't updated yet, but I guess the sectors at Spa are quite far up. He's definitely overtaken Mans there. So up to P8 and, yeah, doing well, and it'll be interesting to see how much further he can climb. He's got Leela Bell ahead of now, and she's not slow, so should be hoping to hold on to that P7, but I think Reynolds is going to give it a fight.
Yeah, she is a fast driver, as we've come to find out this season. Originally, we had a little bit of an accidental classification in AM class for Leela Bell, but she rapidly proved with a couple of really good performances, especially in the wet, that she certainly wasn't an AM class driver, and was rapidly corrected back up in the silver class. But yes, we're about 4.5 minutes away from the ideal pit lane entry time. Get your pit stops done about half and half throughout the session, take on a bit of fuel, get some fresh tires on, and then go for the remainder of this race. So we should see a few starting to come to the pits. We'll be keeping a close eye on when Convoy does come in. He is 6.6 seconds clear of Beg at the moment. So this little fight through here, and that is Kale pulling the trigger a little bit early, maybe, but he's decided, nope, time for me to get in. It's hurting my lap times being behind these two. Can't find a way past. Time to get in and drive down this incredibly long pit lane and get this stop done.
Yeah, well, we saw it was last race that definitely took advantage of the pit strategy there, and Ethan Kale was able to get in front by a smart pit strategy. So we might see that again, although I'm surprised to see anyone come this early, other than obviously, yeah, losing some time due to traffic there and maybe feeling like that's costing him overall. But yeah, you would have thought the drivers would go longer because they spent almost 10 minutes under safety car, so the tyres should be in really good condition for quite a bit longer than a lot of drivers may be expected.
Yeah, it's a very good point, actually. So maybe we'll see most people decide to come into the pit in maybe 2, maybe 3 laps. I mean, I'd be interesting to see if Cook decides the same thing as Kale, but Kale, the decision clearly is like, let's get in, let's get out of this pack, let's get into that clean air, let's set some faster laps and overtake them in the pit lane. That looks like is what he's planning at the moment. So maybe Brad Cook will be thinking along those same lines, it might be. And of course, he's in the ideal position here to sort of determine the strategy. Beg won't be able to react to a pit stop by Brad Cook, so it's really on Brad Cook here to pull the trigger and maybe try and leapfrog him in the pit strategy.
Yeah, well, their lap times are very close together. It was a 2:18.3 for Beg and then a 2:18.4 for Cook on that last lap. So their lap times are very close. And yeah, maybe Cook gained an advantage from jumping into those pits early, getting out of this traffic and maybe hitting it. And no, that's not a crunch on the back of the Porsche. That's just what ACC likes to do to the Porsche when it gets a bit dirty. That's just dirt. That's not a hit.
Yeah, it does look like the engine or the exhaust has exploded or something like that, but no, that is just a graphics artifact there. Yeah,
it's just an efficient German exhaust.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, nice and clean green Porsche here. And there we go. So I thought this might happen. Brad Cook sort of had the similar thought, I suspect, to Kale. We do see Convoy in as well. So Convoy and Cook in the pits now, and they're a little bit early too. So as you said, I mean, they spent 10 minutes at the start of this race with the tires nice and cool and not raining at all. And now they're going to have to do a full 30-minute stint with the tires sort of wearing out towards the end of the race. But yeah, it's interesting to see them pit this early, I think, just given the 10 minutes extra we had on track.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what their original strategy was, how much fuel they had on board and what they were thinking of. I mean, you save some fuel under those safety car conditions, but maybe not quite enough to really extend the stint to a significant degree as far as a long circuit to go around even at a slower pace. So you do burn fuel pretty quickly here.
Yeah, very true. And of course, you know, it is one of those things where if you want to stick to your strategy, you do just need to stick to your strategy. Adjusting things on the fly can be dangerous in my experience. But as you said, fuel is most likely the constraint there. Yes, we burn a little bit less fuel, but at the end of the day, if you're running pretty close to that limit, yeah, you do just need to come to the pits and execute your strategy as pre-planned. That was Traynor going a little bit wide on the exit there of Eau Rouge and Radeon. I'm not sure if he'll pick up a track penalty for that or not, but he was in quite a close battle here with Parkin. Parkin in the McLaren, doing quite well at the moment. Now up into P10, but he's one of the top 18 that has yet to pit in this race. They all have to do their mandatory. Trainor's looking a little bit squiggly at the moment through those medium speed corners. On board now with Kale, so this is going to be the interesting one because Convoy's in the pit, and Convoy will be coming out of the pit at some point in the next few seconds. And Kale will be going through. He's just coming through La Source now. Run down the hill. We've got this dual camera, and yeah, Convoy's. I'd say that's more than 6.5 seconds now in front of Kale. Kale might have had to repair some damage, though.
Yeah, it looks like a slightly longer pit stop there for Kale, but he has enjoyed a fair bit of clean air, and again, he's going to have that tiny advantage you get from having the tyres warmed up, but he looks like he's still just on the back. I think I just saw that was Cook going across straight ahead of him, so he hasn't jumped Cook, but we'll have to see what Beg's strategy is here, because he's still out there leading the race at the moment. Maybe just enjoying the lead there, but yeah, he still has to pit too, so it'll be interesting to see how he comes back into it and what his lap times are like when it all evens out.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly that feeling of savoring a provisional P1 in the race. You go, yep, this is great. Look at me. I'm leading the race. Ha ha ha. And then then the strategies start to equal out, and suddenly you're back. So you're back in whatever position you were in. So you've got to savor those moments. You really, really do. I'm sure someone in chat will be saying Grant Begg Pro. If they came into the stream right now and saw what was going on, they wouldn't quite understand maybe at the first glance what's going on. But we've got a question in chat. Is there another pro race tomorrow night? Yes, there is. It's GT3 Cup tomorrow night. So the Motorsport Australia GT3 Cup tomorrow evening, the final round of the 6-round series. So that is going to be ending tomorrow night as well. So you tune in tomorrow for that. And of course, we've got Split Red coming up after this race. We've just gone past half race distance here for the final round of Split Blue, and it's been a fascinating start to this race. Things have sort of quietened down a little bit as the pit strategies have started to evolve. Only 12 left on the grid now to go and do their pits. And I think we've got, can't do math right now. That is 6. That is 6 people in the pits right now, including Leela Bell. And Leela Bell is trying to find a way to take the Silver Championship away from Cameron Thistlewade, who's down in P17 at the moment. Might have improved from the previous P14 that he was in. After these pit stops, we will see as it all starts to sort itself out, but we should see the race get back into a bit more of a regular sequence in the next few minutes as the rest of these pit stops do get done.
Yeah, it does look like a few drivers extending their stints quite a bit, maybe took on that extra little bit of fuel, or maybe they plan to have a long first stint to start with. It can be a big advantage here at Spa, especially if you can manage to get some clean air, because, not following a car around is definitely a big advantage to your pace. So Grant Begg taking advantage of it at the moment. He's only sort of doing 2:18s, but that's roughly the race pace that we've seen here. As we see, that's Begg actually in the pits as well as McClaw's now. So a leader in the pits, and we'll see where these two filter out and whether they've gained any positions here.
Exactly right. So Begg was in P2 in this race and was leading Brad Cook and Kale by literally tenths of a second. On board now with McLaws, who moves up into provisional lead of this race. Of course, he's got his pit stop still to do. We're 13 laps into this race. Things have stabilized in terms of the weather and the track temperature out there. So no really big changes going to be happening out there on track. Sunny weather forecast for the remainder of this race. Fastest lap still to Convoy at this stage of the race, and he is leading us away in terms of those who have pitted. So we will see. That is Reynolds. And he's now up into what I suspect is probably P6 or P7 now. So he's continued his charge, and we'll be keeping an eye on him. He's coming from the back of the grid, for those of you who are joining us in chat. And by the way, welcome into everyone in chat. Hope you're having a good time tonight. Give us a like and a subscribe as well if you're enjoying the racing tonight. Got to plug the channel. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's what we're all here for, and none of this sort of happens. All of our good volunteers, all of our stewards, everybody who's involved in making this happen. As we see now, Begg's still in the pits, so it'll be interesting to see where he filters out. I believe Reynolds has jumped Leela Bell as well.
Yep, and Convoy is just coming down towards the source now, so he will be ahead of Begg as Begg comes out of the pits, which is, is to be expected, because Convoy had about 7-second lead over Begg before we started seeing the pit stops start to go around. There's Begg on the camera, second camera. He's just had Convoy come past him. He's just coming out of the pits now. So this will be interesting to see what the gap has ended up being. I get the feeling that gap might have reduced slightly. So Begg staying out a little bit later. He was, of course, in P2, so he's running ahead of Cook and Kale. Where is Cook in this fight now? Oh, right there. Yes, so thank you, Glenn, for putting the wide camera shot on for us. So he's not really gained a lot. Brad Cook's had a good out lap, a good in lap, and a good couple of fast laps there. So he's stayed up and kept it within shooting range of Begg. And now Begg will have to get those tyres up into the temperature window, which is sometimes not super easy to do if you're under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, I think the biggest loser here was Ethan Kale, who's still 3 seconds behind Cook. So he's actually lost a fair bit of time from doing that earlier pit stop. So the pit strategy not quite working out for him this time. And this battle will get pretty interesting as we see Cook right on the rear of Begg here. And Begg has much fresher tyres and needs to be careful on this out lap as, yep, Cook's got nice warm tyres. He's been running these for at least a lap or two now. So he's in a prime position here to sort of push and maybe get a mistake out of Beg, maybe grab that position off him this lap.
Yeah, too right. We just saw Beg run rather wide on the central part of Puon. Not a place that you want to run wide at because there is not a lot of grip, and you need to be back on the throttle very early after you hit that first apex in Puon. So he's going to be under a lot of pressure here. He's looking in that rear mirror. The Porsche looking very, very large in that rear mirror and the left and right mirrors as well. But yeah, so I'm just looking at the pit stop time here, and Ethan Kale was in he was stopped for 35 seconds as opposed to the standard 32 seconds. So I think he's repaired a bit of damage in the pit lane, or he's really mucked up his pit box entry.
Yeah, maybe a little combination of both, but definitely some damage being fixed there as we go on board with Grant Beg, who's defending what is provisional P2 at this time from Brad Cook, who is just right on the back of the diffuser of that McLaren. You can see there in the rear view, he's almost touching him. They're getting really close together now. Love to see the onboard of Cook as we go through Rouge and Radion. I think that would be a good indication of what kind of speed difference there is between these two cars as they come through this very fast section.
Full commitment there from Cook. It looks like the McLaren of Greg is just a little bit more committed, or is able to hold a little bit more speed through the Eau Rouge Radion complex. We did also see McLaws as well off to the side. Let's see how Cook closes up in the S's, these sections here where the downforce of the car is a little bit more important. Yeah, he does close up quite nicely. You can see that the Porsche there is just a lot more stable through and on the exit of the corners, and that's giving him the ability to sort of catch up. Beg sort of pulls away on the longer straights, but through these corners here, which is most of the track, it is sort of advantage Porsche.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm actually seeing a bit of movement around from Cook here. He's sort of darting left and right, and I'm not sure if that's sort of him being unstable, or I think more likely it's him trying to, put a bit of pressure on Beg, get in the mirrors, get him paying attention to him, get him distracted. He's actually just made a bit of a mistake there. It looks like Beg was a bit too slow, or a bit slower than Cook expected into that section there, and it's cost him a little bit of time because he's had to sort of stop suddenly on his rear end, as we see Taylor now coming into the pits for their mandatory pit stop, and it would just be Wood who is yet to pit out of all these people. 22 minutes to go.
Yep, and if he doesn't come into the pits this lap, he'll have the honour there of taking a provisional pole for a minute. That was Beg in front, running very, very wide. That will be a track limit warning for him, as he will have had to gone back on the throttle to make sure he didn't lose too much time. And a bit scary sometimes when you're on the green part of the track, out of Stavelot and onto the Blanchimont straight. But he's kept the foot in and decided to absolutely send it, but he will use up a speed token in this race. And I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? You can call them speed tokens, you can call them track limit warnings. Depends a little bit on what you kind of think about them and how many you've got. On 1 and 2, they're speed tokens. On that third one, it's a track warning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Brad Cook's going to want to get a bit of a move on, though, because he is very close to Grant Beg here, but Ethan Kale is getting much closer as well. He's sort of reduced that gap down now to less than 2 seconds, so Brad Cook needs to get past here, otherwise it's going to be under pressure from behind as well, which is not going to be ideal for him as he tries to make this position. It looks like a little bit of a better Rouge Radion there, the gap not quite as big as it was last lap. And yeah, I mean, we were talking about obviously the speed tokens before. I think that's a factor that we haven't seen come into play just yet, but we have seen in the previous races. We haven't seen too many drive-through penalties for track limits yet. So who's taken more advantage, who's taken a little bit of a wider exit, who's gone through a Rouge Radion a little bit more sendy, that might play a big factor in this leading pack or further down.
Yeah, exactly right. And it is, it's a calculated risk you have to take with the track limit warnings. Sometimes there's an opportunity to use them to try and get a bit more speed, maybe force an overtake. As you said, though, before, Brad Cook is really just trying to be there at this stage. You're right, again, that he does really need to be getting a move on here. If he's going to make a move, he does need to start figuring out where he's going to be strong enough and fast enough out of a corner to do it. It looks like Beg takes a very, very wide line into these S's here, the Fagner's S's there, and that is quite a slow place for him in that McLaren. Looks like the Porsche has got a real advantage. Look how close he's getting now as they go through on Blanchimont straight. So he's got to pick his moment now. He's got to figure out, where is Beg really struggling? Where do I have the advantage? And how can I force an error or find a way past during those sections?
And we're seeing Wood there receive a stop go 30, so I believe that'll be a speeding in pit lane penalty, because it was just in the pit, so that'll be a very disappointing penalty for Wood there. That's a long stop go. It looks like it's been cleared by race control. So yes, it is a speeding in pit lane penalty, because they have increased that to just a time penalty.
Yeah, 10 seconds doesn't hurt nearly as much as a stop go 30, which yeah, it's basically a minute and a half if you put it. I mean, probably even more than that. Could be up close towards 2 minutes. You've probably got somewhere in the range, just a drive through, you're probably in the range of 30 seconds.
Yeah, I can't think of anything worse than a stop go 30 at Spa.
Yeah, it's nightmare territory. It really is. And that was a pretty good Eau Rouge rally on there for Brad Cook. Once again, Beg seems to have that straight line speed advantage, and Kale has fallen back a little bit more now. 2 seconds the gap, so it's just slightly fallen off the back once again. McLaws is there at the moment, 2.7 seconds behind as well in 5th position. And then there's Reynolds. So Reynolds has gone from last to 6th position. And Sebi, as we've just got some information from Glenn, Sebi 11 seconds behind Lawrence after the pit stop. So Lawrence looks to be in the right position here, because Lawrence is now in P19, Sebi is in P21, I should say, and there is an 11-second gap between the two. Lawrence will be on the older set of tyres, because the Midas Ferrari here did pit a lot earlier, and Sebi will be on the nice fresher tyres towards the end of this race, but 11 seconds is a lot of time to make up.
Yeah, they will be a bit closer together, because Sebi looking at the moment to be in about P20 because of that 10-second penalty that Wood has at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see if Wood can make that gap or edge out that gap a little bit further to avoid falling down into P21, because that would be a big advantage for Sebi to be only P20.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, all Lawrence needs to do is finish ahead of Sebi, and he will take the amateur class championship in this race. There's Sebi now. As you can see, he's just gone through La Source, so he's a little bit behind. He's going to have to make up a lot of time. He's going to have to push really, really hard, because there, through Eau Rouge and Radion has come Lawrence already. Trying to take a little bit of a defensive line there, it might be. Just wants to keep Wood behind, saying, no, I'd rather you just stay behind at this stage, and I'm quite happy to cruise off into the distance. You've got your 10-second penalty, so yeah, leave me alone, please.
Yeah, I'm sure if it gets too intense, Lawrence might let Wood through just because of that 10-second penalty, as long as he can keep that 10-second gap, which shouldn't be too difficult with only 16 minutes to go, but it just depends on the relative pace of both drivers at this stage. But we haven't looked much at our leader for a little bit, but Convoy is still in the lead. He's got about 10 seconds on Beg. He's busy fighting Cook still, who's about half a second behind. And as you said, Ethan Kale falling a little bit off, about 1.5 seconds behind Cook at the moment. So still on for P2 here. Either of these three drivers could really take it. McClaw's a little bit further back, and being caught rapidly by Reynolds here, who might be on for 5th position if he continues to pace at this level.
Yeah, he's got more pace than McLaws does out on track right now, both of them in the McLaren. But Reynolds just finding pace out there. His best lap at 2:17.415, which was ironically his last lap on the track. So yeah, he's really put the pedal to the metal, and he's absolutely going for it. He can smell that 5th position. He can smell the fumes coming off the back of McLaws's McLaren, and I think it smells pretty nice, I suspect. So he's going for it, absolutely going for it, so good on him. But in terms of the Silver Class Championship battle, Thistlewaite, who's leading Silver Class, is down in P11 at the moment. Leela Bell, who's the 2nd place in Silver Class, is in P8. Not a big enough gap between them. Leela Bell needs Thistlewaite to be finishing probably around P20 or even P21, and she needs to be up in the top 5 of this race to get enough points to overtake the Silver Class Championship. So as long as Thistlewaite can hang on to the car, he will take the Silver Class Championship at this stage of the race. On board now with Leela Bell, 251 Porsche. Overall, I'd say Leela Bell, she's had a brilliant season. She's really shown us some class, especially in the wet at Nürburgring earlier in the season. I think that was race 4, and it was just a masterclass. It was some really stunning driving from Leela Bell, and showed her class, showed what she's capable of in this league. And you know, a P2 in Silver Class is nothing to scoff at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thistleweight doing a good job to sort of secure that and just holding on to that P11 at the moment. Looks to be pretty close to Mans as well, actually. Only about half a tenth behind, yeah. So it could be on for P10 as well. And just making that job a little bit harder for Leader Bell because, yeah, very outside chance of taking it at this point. But Thistleweight's not just going to rest on his laurels and be happy in P11 by the looks of it.
Yeah, exactly right. And I hate to do this, but I have to admit, we're going to have to bring this in. Mr. Senekis with another absolute banger of a pun here. Why was the Hamburglar locked up? He broke the McLaws. Dear, oh dear. Absolutely
Just
horrible.
terrible.
Yeah, horrible. So, yeah, moving rapidly along. Thistleweight making some good progress here on Mans, and Mans ahead. Has been setting some decent lap times at the end of the day. The best from Cameron Thistleweight at the moment has been a 2:18.477. Maybe just running slightly off the pace that Cameron Thistleweight might have suspected that he had. But this could be a very, very good run through Eau Rouge and Radeon. Mans has got the potential advantages in the McLaren, probably running that one-wing setup as well. See how Cameron Thistleweight goes through. And that's a nice little exit on board now with Cameron. And he'll have the slipstream going down the Kemmel Straight. Will it be enough, though, to get side-by-side with the McLaren? Doesn't look like it, to be fair.
Yeah, the Mercedes is a bit of an odd car to set up at Spa in this current patch, just because you kind of want to run, low wing to take advantage of that big V8 it's got, but it does make the car really difficult to drive around the rest of the track if you run too low a wing on it. So it's a tricky one. I think this way it's got it dialed in pretty well as he chases down Mans here, who's in the McLaren. Right on the back of the diffuser there, chasing very closely. Mans all over the back of him through Sector 2 as well, where the McLaren should be a bit stronger than the Mercedes. The Mercedes are getting tower happy, but that's kind of just what the Mercedes does. He'll have to be careful of that, though, because Mercedes is not nice on its tyres.
Yeah, as soon as you start to heat up the rear tyres, it starts to be a bit of a runaway effect, unfortunately. And yeah, if Thistleweight doesn't control that, unfortunately, it will mean that he'll be running rapidly out of the grip towards the end of this race. But at the moment, doing really well to hold onto the back of the McLaren. Or nearly goes and has a little look, but pulls out of it, rightly so. In towards the final sector we go now. Tricky little corner here. Trying to switcheroo a little bit there. This could be good for the run out onto the Blanchimont straights. Looks like they've held position pretty nicely. Thistleweight didn't get an advantage through that final corner onto the back straight. And now it's flat out all the way down towards the bus stop chicane. I don't think that Mercedes has quite enough in terms of top line speed to be challenging Mans at this stage.
Yeah, as they come through to the bus stop here, it looks like Thistleweight looking on the inside there, just letting him know he's there, but he's braked a bit too deep. He's still managed to hold on to it though. He hasn't lost too much time there, but that has cost him just a fraction of a second there, but he was all over the back of Mans there through that second sector. Yeah, he's just dropped it a little bit now, but I don't think he'll be giving up the fight just yet.
No, that's right. And so we've got 11 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in this final round for Split Blue. There's a bit of blue flag traffic, and we're back on board with the battle between Grant Begg and Brad Cook. And this is for P2 in the race. Grant Begg currently leading us away in first place in the silver class. Brad Cook is sitting currently in P2 for the pro class with Ethan Kale. Kale's been seesawing a little bit, hasn't he, Mike? He's gotten within 1.5 seconds. Now he's back to 2 seconds. He was at 1.9. It's sort of here and there, really. Maybe the Lamborghini's just overheating its tires as well, having a bit of a similar problem to that Mercedes.
Yeah, just sort of dropped off the pace and maybe suffering a bit from doing a longer stint compared to everybody else for this second stage of the race. But, I mean, Brad Cook, has the fastest person on track on that last lap. So he's definitely putting the pace down here, and he's putting all that pressure on Begg. But Begg, you got to give him credit, doing an excellent job to hold him off as long as he has been. And, if he can manage to hold on to this P2, nobody could argue he hasn't earned it.
Yeah, exactly right. And here we got the rear wing shot now on board with Grant Begg. And will Brad Cook have that speed? It looks like Begg's just had good enough runs to keep that Porsche from getting any kind of overspeed, despite the slipstream that Brad Cook is inevitably in. And it's nicely done from Brad Cook through the bus stop chicane. It'll be pretty close. Might be close enough here for send up into La Source. He'll have to be very deep on the brakes. Has another little look. the psychological warfare continues between these two. And looks like Beg's just sort of over-slowing maybe slightly into the corners, just wants to throw Brad Cook off his line as well. This will bring Kale back into the fight, but Kale's just sort of, I don't know if he's happy back there in P4, but he's just sort of sitting back and watching this fight unfold in front of him.
Yeah, excellent defensive driving from Beg. I mean, you got to know that, you know, Cook's going to be pushing that little bit harder and going to be wearing those tires just that little bit more. And we know how much the Porsche doesn't like it when the rear tires are just a little bit worn out or a little bit grained up. So, you know, it could be a big brain strap from Grant Beg here, just purposefully maybe slowing Cook down a little bit as we see, oh, just wait, it's finally made the move on Mans there, gone through at the source. Very nice overtake there on the inside, very clean. And Mans unfortunately dropping out of the top 10 there into P11. And Crystal Wait continuing to show us why he's at the top of the class.
Yeah, I liked your comment earlier that said, you know, nice to see a Mercedes on the grid. It is nice to see a Mercedes on the grid, and especially one in blue livery as well. And this way, it's done a fantastic job this season. Will be very deserving of a silver class win. That is Brad Cook going, doing a bit of a Tokyo drift through Puon. That's not going to help his cause at all. He's dropped back just a little bit now from Beg, and yeah, he's gone a little bit wide into the corner as well. So those tires starting to really complain on the Porsche. This is going to bring Ethan Kale into the fight. I think probably in the next lap or two, if the Porsche is struggling on tires, it will be a bit of trouble, and Brad Cook will have to start managing that just a little bit. This might let Beg just run away with things in P2, but it's been a nice little battle. Kale is definitely a lot closer now.
Yeah, that's definitely brought him a bit more into the fold. And yeah, again, it's just a credit to the defense there from Beg. I think he's doing a very good job of managing the race and managing the pace. He's making Brad Cook drive at his pace. He's not overextending himself, and he's just holding on to this P2. He knows Convoy's got an absolutely stonking lead at the moment. He's not going to catch him, so he's just managing his pace well and keeping Cook behind him, and probably frustrating Cook quite a bit in the cockpit of that Porsche. It's probably getting pretty spicy and hot in there as we've got 7.5 minutes to go. He's still going to be, oh, we see a mistake there from Beg. That's going to cost him. That's a very bad place to make a mistake. He's going to lose a lot of speed all the way through here. If Cook can get a really good run through Rouge and Radion, he will be close.
Exactly right. And oh yeah, I mean, you can see Brad Cook is full sendo through a Rouge. He's seen that mistake in front, thought this is my opportunity, but it's not going to be enough. He'll gain a little bit back through this through the Coombs and through into Rivage and all that, where he has been faster than Beg throughout this entire race. But yeah, it's been a real push-me-pull-you kind of situation between these two. One with the top-line speed on the straights, and one with much better speed through the corners. And yeah, it's an interesting one to watch, that's for sure. Yeah, no drive-throughs so far in this race that we've seen. 0 drive-throughs. So everyone keeping it on track. Much easier to do so in the dry conditions. But despite the action that's going on, no one hitting that track warning limit at this stage. We've still got 6.5 minutes to be completely wrong about this. We've also had a question in the chat from Douglas Keane, asking where Ben Thomas, I think is, yeah, Ben Thomas has finished in the season. Lead Pro-Am. No, unfortunately, Ben Thomas is not leading Pro-Am at the moment. He's not participated in most of the races this season, sadly. So he is sitting now at the moment, I think, down at about P8 in Pro-Am class, so a little bit farther down the field in terms of the standings overall. He's having a good race today, though. He's still on P7. He qualified, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but he was in P5 when he qualified.
Yeah, I believe so. He's definitely up there in the higher end of the top 10 at the beginning of this race. I was purposefully avoiding mentioning the drive-thrus because I didn't want to do a commentator's curse, but I guess now if it does happen, that's going to be on you. So I'm glad that it's Peach brought that up in the chat and you were the one to read it out.
Yep, I've opened Pandora's box as I did, so it Bathurst, but the admins didn't want me to be completely relegated to the weather report station, so luckily I've avoided that so far. But yeah, I've opened up Pandora's box. Here we go. Let's see who's going to get a drive-through penalty, prove us wrong, and accept the commentator's curse. Not something that the drivers do willingly. Of course, everyone really wants us to be away. That was nearly a moment there. Brad Cook pushing for the shallow line into the corner with Beg trying to open it up a little bit. Nearly contact between the two. That was a close one.
Yeah, very close there. Beck's got all the advantage here. He's got track position. He should have fresher tyres than Cook, regardless of whether or not he's been, pushing hard or not, just because he did hit that little bit later. So Cook wasn't able to take advantage early on when there was that slight deficit between the tyres. So, yeah, Beck's got it all to play for here, and he's doing really well. God, it's so close. It could be either of them at this point. And Kale's still just sitting in the background there too. So if these two come together, Kale will be like, thank you very much. That's a nice, easy P2 for me.
Exactly. He's been wanting that 2 for 1 this whole race. Nearly got it earlier on. And that was a moment for Brad Cook. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, he's left a little bit of a rubber mark there on the road down Rivage. It's a tricky corner. It is actually, the camber's in your favor, but you're going downhill at quite a rapid rate, and the car just does not want to stop. It does not want to slow down. Easy to lock the brakes as well, and also easy to get the rear to sort of step out slightly on you as well. So this is giving Begg a bit of breathing room here. He'll be quite happy about that. Kale sitting back at the moment, probably accepting of the fact that regardless of what happens now, Convoy is not behind him by a significant margin, and he's not going to be taking P1 and Pro Class, so probably just trying to bring that points gap down as much as possible, try and save a bit of honor at the end of this race. But P2 overall for Ethan Kale in the Pro Championship. It looks like that's what is going to happen if this race stays the way it is. Convoy just needs to do the last couple of laps and bring it home. He will be the Pro Champion for Split Blue. He's had a mega season, started off very well, started to slip away as Kale found his feet and really started to take the victories one after the other. And Convoy's managed to bring that back in the last few races. The McLaren, he's told me in the pit lane before that the McLaren is very strong at the last few races in this season. Of course, we've been to Monza last week where he had a pretty decent result as well. And I think he got fastest lap as well as a race win. So he had a full-on successful weekend last time out.
Yeah, I think the list of tracks that the McLaren's not strong at is much shorter than the tracks than the list of ones that it is.
Very true, actually. Yes, that is correct. So, yeah, advantage McLaren at the moment, it seems to be in 1.9.5 here on ACC, but yeah, I mean, there's been some interesting changes at 1.9.5. I am looking forward to the Endurance Series, which we've got 12 Hours Misano coming up in a few weeks. So make sure everyone tunes in for that. It's going to be an exciting 12-hour race. With the LFM bot that we're using, things are going to be a little different.
Yeah, the cars hopefully will be a little bit closer together, and we'll hopefully see maybe some more interesting choices of cars. You know, there's some cars there, like, you know, the old GTR, my favorite car, is getting a minus 40 kilo reduction in weight. I don't think that's going to make it much better at Misano, because it's not the best car at Misano already. But yeah, there are some cars that get some pretty decent balancing, and from what I've seen of the LFM BOP in practice so far, it does seem to be making things a little bit more even and a little bit more balanced across the field competitively. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how that runs, and whether we'll start to do that for regular sprint seasons or anything else in future OLI races.
Exactly right. And there was a recent change in ACC that allowed the bop to be the custom bop to be changed to up to 40 kilograms plus or minus. And that is certainly going to encourage a lot of leagues, possibly OOR as well, to maybe implement that as a regular feature and maybe try and develop their own bop as well, although unlikely LFM do such a good job with it anyway. But yeah, I've been in the Bentley around Misano. It's horrible to drive, but it can set some very, very quick lap times. So it's going to be a very interesting little race at Misano. I'm glad to see that the field is being evened out. It's I'm a McLaren fan. I love seeing McLaren up there, but at the end of the day, the conditions of the natural bop from ACC, it's a little bit unbalanced. It's a little bit unbalanced, ironically. It's unbalanced of performance. So U-bop at the moment is what I would consider this. Hale is in trouble here. So yeah, so he's got the claws behind him. We've been on board with this as we've been chatting about bop and having a good time with that. Yeah, let's see what happens here, because yeah, Kale is fallen back into the grasps of the claws. The claws is only 1 second behind now, and he's dropped 3.4 seconds now behind Brad Cook. Is he maybe fuel saving, or is he just going, nope, that's my season done?
Yeah, hard to say whether it's yeah, because his lap times have definitely dropped much more than you'd expect. He did a 2:19 on the last lap, which is not the pace you'd expect to be seeing from him at this stage. So yeah, could be fuel saving, could be tires. At the rate that McCaws is catching him, not that McCaws is slow by any means, but at the rate he's catching him, it could be fuel saving. He may have underfueled for the longer run.
I think he might have. Maybe he's done the old, didn't expect the race to last that one extra lap, and he's now really struggling. It's been obviously fuel saving. That gap on the Kemmel Straight came down by at least 2.5 tenths of a second. That may be where he's really running out of things, just short shifting the car and running a different engine map here to try and get this car to the end of the race. And I mean, it'll be a mighty send if McClaws does try a move. It'll be a mighty send. But yeah, the question is now, will he run across the line with zero fuel? Maybe he will. Maybe he'll run out of fuel just before the end of the race. We have seen that from a few in the splits this season. Easy to do, at least for me. I'm fairly new still to ACC, but easy to do sometimes if you get things slightly wrong. It could be a 0.1, 0.2, maybe even 1 litre or so underneath the fuel that you really, really need. But we're at 0-0, and Convoy is going to be coming across the line. He's coming up to the bus stop chicane now, so we're about to see the final checkered flag in the season here for Split Blue. Hell, really struggling. There's Convoy. He's going for a bit of a Tokyo drift across the line. There he is, and he has taken not only the Pro Championship, but the race win today in round 10. Congratulations to JC in his 117 Kovacs Racing McLaren. There's Grant Begg, takes a P2 in this race, holds off Brad Cook very nicely in this race. And there is Brad Cook taking the final podium position in P3. A good race between those two. Hale does hold on, though he's managed his field just enough there.
And Reynolds there managing to grab P6 after starting all the way at the back of the grid. So a really good race from Reynolds there, as we see Salvaggio going in at P9. Had a good race there. Lila Bell also, she did well to manage to hold on to P8. Not going to be enough to change the results of the championship, but she should be pretty happy with that result. Definitely earned her silver class promotion, as we see Salvaggio doing a bit of a drift across the start-finish line, and Thistlethwaite managing to get P10, takes out the silver championship as well, and a good race from him.
Yeah, big congratulations there to Cameron Thistlethwaite. Done very well. There's Ben Deek for the last time. We see that lovely Lamborghini. Lovely livery on there, of course. Steve Lewis, though, he's going to go across the line. He's taken Pro-Am Championship. So Steve Lewis will be very happy. Finishes P14. Maybe not the best race for him, but at the end of the day, Pro-Am Championship does go Steve Lewis's way. Congratulations. Across the line, we just see Joshua, Ashley Vediger, sorry. And now Parkin Carter as well. Seb B is going to come across the line. Seb, we haven't focused on this. We said we would and we didn't. Seb B is actually ahead of Lawrence. The Lawrence has now fallen back. Oh, they're so close. They're only a second on track between these two. There must have been an overtake on this last lap or the lap before. So another AM class championship being decided in the final laps of the final race of the season. And it will be Sebi if he comes across the line in P18 and Lawrence in P19. I think that might just be enough. We'll have to see. I don't quite know the points difference between P18 and P19. There's 8 points between them in the championship. It might not be enough. Lawrence might still have this.
Yeah, it's not a great point difference, but we will have to get clarification on it. It might be enough from Sabi there, but I'm not sure it's that big. As we go further down the field, the points differences do get shortened, but we'll need clarification from that in a little bit. But that is the end of the race, and that was an exciting race, especially that big battle there for P2. Well done to both Cook and Begg there for giving us some great entertainment as they battled, but definitely a shout out to JC too. Well-earned championship win and a really good race win too. Led it pretty much from the start, and yeah, never looked like losing it today.
Exactly right. Yeah, congratulations, JC. Massive effort this season. Congratulations to Kale as well. Has really brought the fight to Convoy, and unfortunate to not see Joshua Vediger in here fighting for that spot as well. He was really in the battle too in pro class, but it's been a very exciting season. So congratulations to everyone in all their classes, all the victors, and well done everyone in Split Blue. You've put on quite the season for us. Looking at your final results here, Convoy takes the win here in the final round, followed by Begg, followed by Cook. But in your pro class, it is all the way down. Well, actually, we'll just go back to that very, very quickly. That's quite all right. Convoy, and then we've got Cook and Kale, the top 3 in pro class. In silver category, we do have Beg taking the win here today for silver class, McLaws, and then Bell. Cameron Thistlewaite, your silver champion. In pro-am class, we do have Ben Thomas, who takes the pro-am win today. Salvaggio taking P3 and Mans and Salvaggio in P2, Mans in P3, and Steve Lewis, who's in 4th today, actually takes the championship for pro-am class. Congratulations. And am class. This is going to be interesting. We're going to have to see the final results as they come across in the next few hours. So B takes the win today, Lawrence, and then Huare. Marsh, who was involved in that early contact, unfortunately, at turn 1, has unfortunately pitted the car and decided to retire from this final race of the season. But commiserations to Hayden Marsh. But a great season here being put on by Split Blue. We've had everything in this last race of the season. We've had, well, not 1, but 2 safety cars. A very confusing start on the second safety car restart. We've had spins, we've had battles. No rain, though, so that's probably the only thing missing, really, from this race.
Yeah, it's the only thing we didn't get. We kind of got a little bit of everything else, but yeah, it was a great race to enjoy and commentate. As we all get set up now, we've got another race coming up. We've got Split Red as our commentators arrive for the next race, and yeah. And it's 3 points.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 points between 18 and 19. So Lawrence will manage to hold on to that championship.
Yeah, so congratulations, Lawrence. Takes out the AM class win in Split Blue. Big congratulations. But yeah, from here in the commentary box for Split Blue, myself, George Cook, and of course, Mike Crick. Thank you for jumping in these last couple of races. Really appreciate that. We're going to go into a break and be back with you for Split Red, where Connor Hind and Luke Johnson are going to take over the commentary box and take us through the final race in Split Red. But congratulations once again to everyone at Split Blue. We're going to go on a break. We'll be back with you soon. Big thank you to yourself, Mike, of course, and Glenn for the broadcasting side of things. Really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to round 10, season 14 of the Octane Online Simrigs Sprint Series for Split Red, Split Blood here at Spa-Francorchamps. I'm Connor Hind in the comms box, and I've got Luke Johnson with me tonight. How are you, mate?
Yeah, evening, Connor. No, I'm doing well, mate. Looking forward to seeing the season finale for the final AP split for the night.
Final AP split for the night and for the season as well. I guess if you look at the championship itself, JP's locked it up, but there could be a nifty little battle there for P2.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just looking through the points now between Tufik and Shady Samuel. It's definitely not settled just yet. And then if you look down at the Silver Championship as well, we've got here, is that Carl Johnson and Leo Dreyer there? They appear to be only a few points away from one another, so definitely all up for grabs tonight.
Yeah, we got some class battles. The overall championship's pretty much decided, but it'll be interesting to see those class battles play out over the course of the race. It's a 60-minute one-stopper. Be nice if we could see some variable weather, hint, hint, rain dances everywhere.
Well, I think we just about used up all the rain available in the yellow split last night. That was an absolute storm, and I think, unfortunately for the rest of it, it's going to be all dried up.
Yeah, as we look, at the table on screen right now. So yeah, Tafik and Shady, depending on where they finish, that can still be decided. Maddox even has a play in there for P2. So does Mag. So and Ali, if Ali is here. So there's quite a few there who can, and Graham Hill. I mean, there could be honour here for P2 tonight.
Yeah, that 2 to 7 there is looking very tight. It's all to play for tonight. That will absolutely be on everyone's mind.
And then you go down, as you said, the silver, only a couple points separated there. Harsh Kumar in the Pro-Am he's well in front. He's pretty much locked up the Pro-Am title there from Scott Rochford. And then as you go down to the AMs, so Gary Lau's on 154. Bozic is on 94, so, I mean, depending on where they finish, that title could still be up for grabs.
It's possible. It's definitely possible, but we'll see how that one plays out as the race progresses.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're on board with Dreyer, and the laps are starting to tick through. So Sonicus John has done a 16.4, and Shady has exactly equaled it straight off the start with Sunjodo only 2/10 behind.
Looking at how spicy that top 8 is, it's looking to be a bit of a McLaren Spec Cup at the moment. I think we mentioned the same thing last week at Monza. It is the all-powerful car around here at this point in time. It's the strongest contender for sure. But yeah, to see Shady there with a 0.000 delta on John there, it's definitely become a bit spicy.
He's up 3/10 going into the bus stop too, so if he can pull it up really well and nail that line through there, he's up a little bit, loses, it's just flicking around. Let's see what the exit's like. He's maintained a lot of the exit, losing a little bit, but not too much.
Short of the 15 there, we've got a 2-minute 16.1. That is a rapid time.
Yeah, anything low 16. I reckon we can see a driver or two dip into the 15s here tonight.
So. Yeah, absolutely. The conditions are perfect, and we've got some very speedy boys here, so 15s definitely on the table for this quali session.
Do we have a JP here, or is he just not racing tonight?
It looks like he may have... he's in chat. I've had to go to the mainland for the day, so he's watching the stream and leaving all the points on the table for anybody who wants to claim that second place.
Yeah, okay, so that definitely will spice up P2 battle immensely. as we're on board with John, who's 2/10 down. He's still got the 16.4. As he comes through, is it Piff Paff?
I believe that's what we call it these days. My French/Belgian's not very good these days, so someone was calling it Pish Pash last night. I believe its official might be Ilfangs, but I'm just bringing up a Wikipedia page as we see John decide that that's not the lap, and we're going to try again.
Yeah, they've still got 6 minutes overall in the quali as on board with Sanjoto, who's half a second up. Oh, it won't quite put him for pole, but he'll be close. It'll be interesting to see how he can pull it up coming into the bus stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to be seeing, I reckon, the top 3-4 drivers here, I reckon by the end of this session, may all be within a 10th or so. I think it's going to be very close as he's gained a ton of time through the bus stop. That's 0.7 up as he crosses the line as fast as a 2:16.08. You hate to see it.
Oh, almost.
So close.
That is a
yet
mega
so
lap.
As Shady decides, you know what? Screw that. I'm gonna go 0.02 better.
Yeah, we got a bit on for pole here, which is awesome. It's good to see still in round 10, people still giving it their all and having a crack.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the race driver in all of us though, kicking in. It's just that no matter what you think, you just got to give it your all. And I mean, like we said, that position 2 in the championship is all to play for at the moment. So I don't think anyone's leaving anything off the table at this point.
Nah, absolutely not. It was on board with Dryer, and he's just got... Oh, he's gained a little bit through No Name there. Oh, on a bit of a slide and loses that 10th he gained. Let's see how hard he attacks Puon. I feel like in the Macca, considering I started driving it for the final 2 rounds, to attack Puon, you can't really like throw it in there. It's just got to be a nice, consistent line. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the strat for the Macca at this point seems to be running as little wing as possible, and I think as you come through there, you just you can't chuck it in like most people would want to. You've kind of got to be a little bit more delicate and ease her in there, but yeah, it's a speedy car, and I'm surprised at how well it. How stable and how much it grips up, despite the fact that you're only like running super low wing.
Yeah, well, I was running the most minimum wing you can possibly run last night, so it's just crazy how, as race control pops in and says, Sue, car number 66 has a 2-place grid penalty for causing a collision, and he's done that in quali. That's definitely very naughty. You had 9 rounds to sort that out.
We can't be having any of that. That's not what we want to see, particularly for the last round. We want everyone to have a good round and to have some clean racing, but unfortunately that's going to cost him dearly.
Yeah, well, I can't really see where he is on the standings, but yeah, it's going to drop him back further from where he is, obviously. As we're still on board, Treya didn't get a good exit through turn 1 and up Redillion, so we'll see how he goes in Lacombe. Oh, he's just holding steady. He'll still have one more lap to kind of, if he can't really get the time this lap, to then hopefully just send it and see if he can pull something out of thin air.
Yeah, hopefully he's got the fuel to do it, but yeah, no, looking very spicy there at leading the silver class. I've just seen Murphy there leading Pro-Am up there in 4th, which is good to see. A bit reminiscent of last night, actually. We had, in our split and split green, we had a Pro-Am up starting in 4th as well, and it was good to see a bit of a mix of the classes up towards the top.
I believe our Pro-Am, was it Kong?
Yeah, it was
I
Brian
reckon
Kong. Yep.
he will have a silver badge next season.
Yeah,
And I reckon Murphy will have a silver badge too next season, I reckon.
Looking forward to his promotion.
I don't believe he will have a Pro-Am badge anymore.
I think following this season, I think there's going to be a fairly decent sized list of people who going to see a class promotion, as we see a little bit of a slide there from Sujoto going through Puon. I don't think he's going to get it this lap.
Nah, he's what, a tenth and a half down, unless he really stuffed up the back half of the circuit on the lap before. But also he's done a 16.0, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, he definitely nailed that last sector in his flying lap last time, so I don't think there's going to be much time to be gained here, but he'll tighten the belt straps and go another lap. As you see Shady here looking to, he's just flickered into the green. I know the timing around here can be a little bit iffy in terms of 0.05 of a tenth or so is a little bit inaccurate, so he's lost a little bit coming back into Blanchimont, but maybe there's a little bit of time for him to gain in the bus stop. We shall find out.
Peach is absolutely right in the chat. Drive fast and consistent equals promotion. You, sir, are correct.
I can't argue with the logic, to be honest. I think that's pretty much how it runs here. Is you, I feel like for the most part, you got to race yourself before you start racing others. So focus on your consistency and then slowly build up your speed. And yeah, absolutely, you'll be promoted in no time.
We jump on board with Johnson, who was 3/10 up and lost a little bit through there. He's losing a bucket load of time now. As we come around the corner, oh, he's lost it, almost all of it. Oh, what's the exit like? I don't know. He's got a really strict. Oh, he slid through No Name.
You hate to see it. You hate to see it. I think we've all become victims of that at some point, where you're up by so much and it almost gets to you a little bit. You see it go green and you're like, yes, I'm onto it, and then it all slowly slips out from underneath you. But we see now Shady up again by 2.5 tenths, almost 3, so this could very well be the 15 that we've been looking for.
Well, being that no one else is on a quick lap, according to Glenn, so good job there, Glenn, for keeping us updated. But yeah, if he can hold on to it, that's a mega lap. Looking at a 15.7, 15.8, that's astonishing.
That is a extremely fast lap, and he's hoping that at least somebody can get to the 15s tonight, and if it's going to be anybody, it will be Shady. So he's managed to keep it pretty consistent in terms of his time dropping. You see the number flicker there a little bit, but he's not losing too much time, so hopefully he can hold it together through the bus stop, and we'll see our first 15 of the split.
Yeah, if you can just hold it together, brake nice and consistently into the bus stop. So we're watching go into the entry. Yeah, he's gained a lot there. That's a nice braking sequence. Let's see how he comes out of it. He's held most of it. He's dropped a little bit, but that's going to be a 15. The timing board plays correctly. Bang, a 15-second. 15.7. Look at that.
Shady, take a bow, mate. That is a absolutely stellar lap. That is fantastic.
So we ride on board with Webb, is still finishing off his lap. He's the last one to go. He's 3/10 up. Coming around Blanchimont into the bus stop.
Now this could potentially gain him a couple of positions here. I don't think, unless he gains even more time through the bus stop, which unfortunately I've cursed him and he will not. So he will jump up no spots, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll have Webb in 14th.
And that sets our grid for the final race of the season. What do we reckon is going to play out?
Will we get a safety car, I guess, is the big question. I've seen some pretty interesting starts up Eau Rouge in the past, but so far, I mean, I don't know if Split Blue's anything to go by with their safety car, but last night was the yellow and green wasn't too bad. So what do we reckon? I'm going to say safety car. First lap. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm gonna say that they're gonna prove us all wrong, and it's Split Red is gonna get through safety car free.
We hope so. We absolutely hope so. 100%. So our timing boards then. I mean, it's starting at third. There we go. We got Shady first, Sinjoto second, Lai third, John Sonikas in fourth, Mags in fifth, and then we got the Pro-Am of Murphy in sixth. Drea in seventh, leading the silver class in front of Johnson, who'll be looking to take that lead. Hill and Sue, who I believe Sue was the unfortunate recipient of a 2-spot penalty. So unfortunately, the top 10 lockout McLarens is going to invite a Ferrari up there of 2 feet. But it is a McLaren show at the moment, as you can see. As we take our final walk down Split Red's grid walk with all the lovely.
Don't move away from it, Glenn. Don't move away from it.
You know he's
We're
going
coming.
to.
We're coming towards the livery. Come on. We're coming towards the livery of the Split. Just look at it.
We know this is Connor's favourite livery.
Let's go, Brad. Let's go.
Plus 5 horsepower per wing livery on that one there. We've got the classic Tic Tac BMW there from Chalmers.
Yeah. Is that a Subway Merc?
The Subway delivery Merc. Absolutely.
I wonder. We need some sandwiches up in the comms booth, I think.
Definitely. Hopefully you can make a detour halfway through the race. And the Kit Kat killer at the back there. And that basically rounds out our grid. These guys should be getting pretty close to, as I say it, pretty close to starting the formation lap. And we'll be kicking off 1 hour of Spa. Now tell me, Connor, is Spa one of your favourite tracks on the calendar?
I like it. I do. It's not in my upper echelon of tracks, but it's not. It's like towards the front, but it's not right at the top. It's good, but it's not like, I don't rate it like a lot of other tracks do. A lot of other people do. What about yourself?
Yeah, I've got to agree with you. I don't dislike it, but it's not one that I get particularly excited for. I don't particularly froth for Spa as much as some people do. I enjoy it when it comes up on like the F1 calendar. But for GT Racing and ACC, I don't particularly, like you said, it doesn't sit right up there for me. I've got plenty of other tracks that would pip it for it, and I don't even think it's the best track in Belgium in this game at the moment. I think Zolder is the goated Belgian track. I'll see if chat agrees with me on that one or not. Maybe we can get a poll up. Which one's the better track in Belgium? Zolder or Spa? Because I personally believe Zolder's a more fun track to drive, but each to their own, I guess. Some people absolutely love Spa, and I can kind of see why, but for me, yeah, not really.
I like Zolder too. Zolder is a good track, and I prefer it as the Belgian track. It is also much better than the worst track in the game, Indianapolis, followed by the second worst track, Kyalami, and I've about set the chat on fire. So I reckon you're going to get us for the start, so I can kind of go and cower in the corner.
Well, can I join you in the fact that I don't enjoy Kyalami either?
Yes, excellent.
I really
get
don't.
around it.
Yeah, no, Kyalami just doesn't do it for me. Anyway, as we see that they are now lining up 2 by 2, into the arc of Spa, we will begin racing not quite shortly, as the start-finish line is not the start line for Spa. So we still have a couple of minutes to make a cup of tea as they come round the bus stop at 80 k's an hour. The gang looking fantastic as always. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this start kicks off. Just taking note there that, yeah, Sinjodo does have a decent sized ping on this one. I wonder if that'll cause any chaos potentially to the cars behind, as they're a little unsure of where he may be positioned. Hopefully he can bring that ping down. But we see them come down towards Eau Rouge for the first time. We will be going green any second now. Shady well and truly out in front, followed by Sinjodo, Lai and Sanikas. We've gone green and we are racing towards Eau Rouge. Shady with a massive start, got all the track to himself as we line up just about single fire. There's a couple of double files in the background there, but we are looking very safe, very clean, looking very good. As we can see, Lai here lost out a little bit, seems to have lost a place to John, who's on an absolute charge through the outside there, looking to take Sinjodo around the outside as we go in, but Sinjodo's going to hold the inside. There's a little bit of a tap. John's going to take the escape road. Hopefully it doesn't cause too much chaos on entry. We see somebody's absolutely slammed on the wall at the back there, and Lai now looking to try and take John through what is that, corner 9 of the comms down into corner 10, which is Brussels. But then we see Shady with an absolute commanding lead at this point in time. He's looking already at probably about half a second on Sinjodo, who has managed to hold off John, who did get a little bit of a tap there and had to take the escape road. But it's full on for Lai and Murphy at this point in time, as Johnson and seems like Mags has lost out a few positions as well, as they all come through, as we were calling it before, pish posh, as we go into Stavelet for the first time. Everyone seems to be nice and safe at the moment. We've got little bubbles already starting to form as everyone's in single file, giving each other plenty of space, no more so than Shady, who's already got a 1.5 lead over Sinjodo, with a quality time well and truly into the 15s. That is not hard to expect. But yeah, we're already starting to see the spaces form, as we see that Stu has made a few positions up and is looking to take Johnson on. Going to go around the outside of the bus stop. I don't know how well that's going to go for him, but he will have the inside for the final corner. He will take him. That is a fantastic move. Well done. Sue is now up to 6th, and that is your first lap of Spa.
I called it. I told you it was going to be a relatively safe first lap. There was no safety car, and ensued the chaos.
They must have been watching Split Blue and just said, you know what, we aren't going to do that. And they have proved me wrong for all the right reasons. And we see here John looking to get into the slipstream of Sinjodo and see if he can make that move stick going into the comms further up the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Wait, John has got him.
What a move.
Excellent. What a move. Yeah, it was a good, clean move, good overtake. Sinjodo's got to have a look and keep the pressure on and stick the nose out, but nothing as of yet. But all this is allowing is Shady to just absolutely put the hammer down and be out to nearly 2 seconds.
That is a commanding lead, and unless John's got some pace up his sleeve now that he's jumped slides Jodo, it'll be hard pace to beat. But Lai is right on the back of Jodo, and John is creating some distance. So Sinjodo here in a little bit of trouble potentially if he doesn't start getting a move on.
Yeah, I mean, 2.5 seconds now out to Shady from John. Sinjoto's just dropping off the back of John, so I reckon once John got clear of him, he probably has the pace to run away from those couple of guys a little bit. Then you're kind of looking there, Murphy and Sue as pro-ams right in the middle of the top 10, in front of a few silvers. Let's go, mixing it up.
Yeah, the Pro-Am's really taking command here. As we see, John is putting the hammer down and may potentially catch up to Shady at this point with a 2:17.3 lap time, which is extremely respectable.
We'll see that lap time over the race as the fuel drops off and they kind of get their tyres in, as Harsh Kumar almost implants his Ferrari into the back of Maddox's Lambo. That would have been a sight in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, for sure. As we see Kumar, they're taking the very short line there through Eau Rouge. One thing you do not want to get here is your track limit warnings, because we have confirmation that if you do breach your track limits and you get your drive through, it will, has gone off. I wonder if he's been assisted there, but he's going to sit and wait for basically the entire field to go past him before rejoining safely. That is absolutely devastating for the car that was up in fourth and potentially challenging Sinjoto for third. I don't know what's happened there. If we might be able to get a potential replay to see what's gone on. The car doesn't look too bad. At this point in time, he may have just missed a braking marker and lost the rear out a little bit, but we'll definitely get a check in on that one.
It's one of those ones really where like a mistake or a small slip up, or even if it was assisted, you're running up so high and then you're in a precarious spot where you have to let everybody through and it feels like an eternity.
Yeah, that's the hardest wait of all time. Palmer.
Brad, what are you doing? I hyped your car up. You're going to have to use that extra 10 horsepower now.
That's what the problem was, is even on idle, he was too fast for the 80k speed limit. As we see, there is all sorts happening at the moment between Murphy and Sue at the moment. As we see John go for the fastest lap of a 16.6, which is a rapid time. So Shady potentially under a little bit of pressure there as he watches that delta. And we see Sinjoto, he gets a 10-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 1. So he was one of the cars that just went into the pits then, so maybe he did pick up a little bit of damage from beefing with Lai as well, and he's looking to get out of some of that traffic. But Murphy holding on to the position now. He is up in provisional third at this point in time, but Sue will look to try and take that from him around the outside. Yeah, no, unfortunately, Murphy's going to hold very much into that defensive line there and keep that position. But that has brought Johnson back into this as well. So we're going to have a little bit of a battle pack here. He is going to stick the nose through.
Oh, that was absolutely tight. And I mean, to have the trust and the confidence in the other driver to not turn in on you there, that was... I reckon there's a little, as you said, there's a battle pack form here, kind of a bit of a train. I don't know if Stu has the overall outright pace over Murphy, but yeah, we'll see what happens from here.
Well, yeah, Sue's come down from towards the bottom of the top 10, so he's definitely been speedy over these last couple of laps, making his way all the way up into third. But yeah, we'll see if he seems to have made a little bit of a gap already, so he's definitely on fire at this point in time. We've got a bit of a replay here. I believe we're on board with Lau as we see, yep, Lai, sorry. As we see that, yeah, he just got caught up being in the slipstream and is missed his brake marker there. taken evasive action. He's hit the grass and then he's slowed it right down and waits for everybody to go past before rejoining. So it's a very safe rejoin.
Yeah, it's cautious and it's predictable, which is the thing we praise a lot around here, is when you're in those kind of situations that could damage others around you and yourself, always be predictable and safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just seen as well that Shady has kind of answered back to John with the fastest lap of 16.6. So they're kind of going tit for tat there out in front.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely trading pace in terms of lap time at the moment. So both being Kovacs boys, I imagine they're running a pretty similar setup and would be on a similar strategy to some degree. Not being part of Kovacs, I can't truly comment on what their strategies would be, but one would think that potentially they would be on something similar. So very speedy lap times, and they've already pulled out just about 5 seconds on Sue there. So very speedy, but it's all to play for with these Pro-Ams and Silvers at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. There's kind of, little trains, little battle packs forming. You got the two out the front who are obviously a bit faster than the rest of the field, who are kind of toing and froing between that 2 to 2.5 second gap. We got Tafik is moving up into 8th. He's going to have to move further up the field to keep that P2 from Shady as well if Shady wins.
Yeah, as we see Murphy taking the esports outside line there, losing all sorts of positions as he takes the dirt. So unfortunately dropping from 5th all the way down to 8th there, if not further at this point. As you see, he's going to lose another position as Mags comes past. So yeah, unfortunately Murphy losing out big time as Shady popping out more fastest laps here. We're going to be going tit for tat between Shady and John at this point, but a 16.612 at this stage.
Just slowly inching that time down, that delta down, which is the consistency is just key. It's just on point, and he's extended by a couple of tenths over John as well that lap.
Well, yeah, that's it, and we expect potentially next lap around we'll see if John can answer back. As we see race control pop in another message of Briz, 10-second penalty for being out of position on lap 1. So we are still seeing some of those lap 1 penalties come through. A few 10 seconds on the board at the moment.
Yeah, they'll slowly filter through for, the next 10 odd minutes. As we're on board still with Murphy, who's dropped quite a few spots, but if he can pick it back up together and kind of just refocus in and see if he can gain another few spots as he's looking at the back of Mags' McLaren.
Yeah, that's it. He's just got to stay cool, wipe some sweat off, and hopefully just refocus on what's ahead of him and not too much of what's happening behind, which is, at this point in time, Keys in the Aston Martin, which is incredibly impressive. And Imran in the Ferrari, looking very pacey on the back of Maddox here. Yeah, we're starting to see there's only a few little battle packs happening again now, as everyone starts to slowly spread out. We're looking here where everyone's kind of starting to put a bit of a second or so between each other as that little bubbles start to form. We are only just about to finish up the first 15 minutes of this race, but with 45 minutes remaining, plenty can happen. We see here Maddox in the Lambo, looking to hopefully get on the back of Keys and Rama up ahead, who does have that 10-second penalty, so he'll be looking to try and make use of that as much as possible and try and gain a few positions.
Yeah, absolutely. Or at least if you can't get to him to have a chance to overtake, just stay within that gap so he can at least use the penalty that he's got to his advantage. But he does have Zahali in that blue and white Ferrari just all over his rear bumper.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the Ferrari's got the legs down the straight as they come through Eau Rouge, whether there's a potential move to be made at the end of that straight.
Yeah, whether, and see just in the slipstream, just not really getting close enough. It looks 273 in the slipstream.
Yeah, not too bad of a top speed, but it's definitely not the highest that people will be achieving here. I know that the McLaren, if you're running a low wing setup, can get anywhere into the higher end of the 270s, so not too sure about the Lamborghini at this point, but it looked like there that it definitely had the legs, so yeah, he's going to have to buckle down and see what he can do and potentially get a little bit closer into some of these longer straights in order to make a move.
Yeah, he'll be looking to fill the mirrors, just be consistent, stay there, see if he can force a mistake, or even look for an opportunity, just mimic what Maddox is doing and look for an opportunity to get an overtake. So Shady has crept out to 3.2 seconds over John. So yeah, Shady's just putting the absolute hammer down now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Spa's an interesting one. It's such a long, fast, flowy track, but realistically, there aren't too many spots to go for an overtake. And realistically, when you are behind someone like that, you are just hoping for that mistake to come from the driver in front. Because yeah, realistically, if you're running similar lap times, the opportunities just aren't as much as what you'd expect for a track of this length.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's just, I don't know, it's just like the nature of the circuit, really. It's you have to force a lot of errors out of the people in front of you to get a lot of overtakes done.
Yeah, no, and that's what it is just being consistent, just remaining in the mirrors to try and put the pressure on and see if you can get that mistake. As we saw Lie there, jump up another position in a bit of an unusual spot down the middle of the back straight there. And we've got a little bit of a battle pack forming for positions 23 to 26, as we saw the old subway delivery Burke take the very interesting esport line through
Just
our route.
drive off to Zolder on the other side of the circuit.
That is a speed token if I've seen one. Hasn't made his detour into the com box yet, but he had a nose up. As we see, that Joseph just Doe there. Oh no, the rejoin not looking good. Oh, I've got to admit, I think that's part of his own error. That's Joseph there. That's unfortunately, I dare say, put himself into the barrier there. That is a very used looking Ferrari.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same inkling there. I think Joseph rejoined onto the racing line a little bit, it looked. So it's rough. It just, he'd nearly be white. He's so far. Just keep either your pit now to just kind of get rid of, I suppose it depends how much damage you got from the tap.
Yeah, I don't know. You might be able to tell me a bit more about damage to the front of the Ferrari. From what I understand, it's not too bad. I think it's you're more in trouble if the rear of the car cops a bit of damage. But yeah, depending on how much he's got, it was only a light tap into the wall, so he might be able to manage it. But that's just a really unfortunate incident there.
Yeah, the damage on the front of the Ferrari is fine. But when you get any form of rear damage, the car just doesn't like it at all.
Yeah, you can see that he did just take a bit of an interesting line up there in the back straight. So anyway, we'll jump back on board with Lai, I apologise, sorry, who has made his way slowly back up the field after getting taken off, well, taking himself off a few laps earlier. He's back onto the back of Rochefort, and he's got the slipstream. He's going to have the straight line power, so it's going to be very hard to defend against him as we come up into the right-hander.
Yeah, I think Rocheford's just going to let him kind of, like, that battle's kind of already decided down straight, so it's probably a good move by Rochefort to just tuck back in and see if he can get Lai to just pull him along for a little bit.
Yeah, stick onto the back of him, follow his lines a little bit, and just see how much pace you can try and keep with him. But it'll be interesting to see how far up he goes. See what this kind of recovery drive we can get out of Kevin. He's got Macaulay ahead of him, only 3 seconds now, who does have a 10-second penalty, so he'll be looking to try and catch up to the back of him and get past him as fast as possible. And yeah, just keep looking forward and moving forward.
As we jump back to Murphy, who is all over the back of Mags, so he's reined Mags in a little bit. It was probably a second or two up the road, really, so Murphy has the pace apart from the couple little moments he had, but yeah, he kind of, let's see how this battle plays out.
Yeah, we see that Mags is losing a little bit of time. So he's sticking to the back of Tufik, got that 1.3, 1.4. As we do see Justin get a 10-second penalty for a collision on lap 8, which was the one that we caught on stream there. It was only last lap ago, so a little bit of a slap on the wrist for that one. We have seen a few 10-second penalties pop up for just little minor bumps and bruises here and there.
Yeah, there hasn't really been anything too, like, kind of like Split Blue, where it was like all the rage and all the drama, but just a few little whoopsies and, like, you know, brain farts and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, just the little errors that you get when you get a little bit red misted. We haven't seen too much murder at this point. Split Blood not living up to their name, which is good for all intents and purposes. As we see somebody, is that Johnson potentially off to the side there? Is that a white McLaren? It looks like it might be number 52. I believe that is Johnson on the side of the road. It is. Carl, mate, what has happened?
Have we had a hardware failure?
Yeah, that front of the bonnet there is looking a little... And I think he's gone. I don't see him on the leaderboard anymore. What has happened there? He was running in fourth. He was doing so well.
If anyone from Kovacs could let us know what's happened there, if they're in chat with him. But yeah, he was in battle for the Silver Championship too.
Absolutely. That has huge implications for the final position of how Split Red's Championship's going to look. Does that count as a curse? I did say that there was no bloody murder in Split Red, but has Carl suffered in-game or fate or hardware failure?
You've just cursed his hardware, his computer, his internet. You've just...
That is how strong the Johnson curse is.
As we jump on board with a replay of what happened. So he's just slowing down. It looks like he's just going to pull over.
He just pulled over. He said, I've had enough, see you later. Hardware failure. JC confirming there that it is the hardware failure. You absolutely hate to see that. That is just about the worst kind. And that's really unfortunate, Carl. That's, yeah, we feel for you, mate.
Yeah, hopefully that's really a shame. Really, when it's out of your control like that, you can't just really. It just happens, and you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, absolutely. But if we do count that one as a curse, I apologise for reaching that far into the ether, and hopefully everything's all sorted, mate. It's not too big of an issue.
Everyone moves up a spot, unfortunately, and so does Dryer, who's going to take a pretty much, barring any major incident, is going to have the Silver Championship locked up.
Yeah, that would just about seal that championship up if he can manage to stay consistent and stay in front of the Harley. They're down in 9th, so there's still 35 minutes to go. Anything can happen, but it's all looking up for Dreyer at this point in time.
So
you see
we've
a few
got
cars behind him looking looking very spicy for position.
So we've got Dreyer, who's kind of just like, a little bit in front of this pack, but then you got Hill followed closely by Tafiq, and Mags is in chase as well in this little battle pack. And they seem to have dropped Murphy a little bit. Mags has dropped Murphy.
Yeah, Mags looks like he's hit the afterburners and decided, you know what, I'm going to get on the back of this group instead, and he's left Murphy kind of a little bit behind him. So as we see the pit exit car of, I believe that is Lau, pull over and doing all the nice blue flag things. But yeah, they're looking very spicy with the Hill Tufik Mags battle pack that's kind of forming here. Tufik did start a little bit further down. I believe he was in 10th or 11th at the start of the race, so he's done a fantastic job getting himself up to 6th, and definitely smelling a bit of blood in the water if he can get right up onto the back of Hill and potentially make a move.
Yeah, well, he's in that battle for second with Shady, so he realistically has to get a podium, or maybe 4th, to even keep
the
that
dream
second.
alive.
I think if we get the mathematicians in chat to have
get the quick maths out,
to have a look at that, but yeah. So there's still implications on this championship in terms of some of your minor places in different class championships, but as you just see, Shady just is out to 5.2 seconds now, so unless John has an ace up his sleeve and kind of decides to go one gear higher, Shady is just absolutely in a classic zone.
Yeah, it's a dominating performance that we haven't seen since last week's domination from Peach. But yeah, there's not much else you can really say about that. As we see, I think that was Hill jumping into the pits there. He's the first one to kind of break from that pack and take the pit stop. Mag seems to have decided that's also a fantastic idea and followed him in, and Keys as well. So we are reaching that stage where the mandatory pit stop is going to be served. And what is the lowest pit stop you'll ever take all season? I last night grabbed a cup of tea during my pit stop. It was that long. Yeah, it's definitely the one you don't want to get the drive-through for.
It's it's one of those pit lanes. It's, what was it? I think it's like 57 or 58 seconds.
Yeah, I think Hobbs was saying last night. Yeah, that's almost a minute just to drive through it. So it is absolute torture in my eyes. And then it's got a weird kink right in the middle of it where you got to go full lock, and I guess see if you play chicken or not with the throttle to see whether you stay full throttle or not through the corner.
you kind of, if you're in a battle or whatever, you have to stay full into it in the corner and not lift. But obviously it requires you to then almost hit the barrier.
Yeah, don't hit that orange barrier on the outside. As we're on board with Bushel, who's also now in a bit of a battle pack. We've got Kevin there right on court, right back up, and Bushel seems to have gained a bit on Chalmers as well. So we've got a little three-way battle here. It'll be interesting to see if anyone can make a move. I know Kevin's looking very racy and will be looking to try and get as much slipstream as he can down the back straight. But do we reckon one of these guys may or may not pit? Maybe we see Kevin pit if he can't make the move stick going into the stop. Whether or not he's going to make a move down the outside, which is a dangerous spot to be, but he's going to make it stick, looking very pacey. I think Bushel was very smart to just slip in behind there. Shady in our bottom right-hand corner there has pitted, so the leader is in. And yep, Kevin's and Bushel's going to make the move and jump into the pits.
Kevin has done a really good job to get back up to where he is at the moment, with about a bit under half a race to go. I reckon he can get close to that top 10 range, probably even dip in there somewhere. Yeah,
absolutely. It's always great to see the recovery drives when you see them. They people knuckle down and get racy, don't give up. It's always good to see.
No, Chris. Unfortunately, we did a little bit of kink shaming, but we take back what we said. There's no kink shaming around here.
We do not kink shame unless kink shaming is your kink.
Which, in that case, you really need help.
There are services that you can contact.
There's offshore accounts you can pay to get that sorted for you.
As we see a lot of people in the pits at the moment. We're looking at all 11th to 16th at the moment. All jumped into the pits. Shady's back out as he is provisional 1. We haven't seen John pit yet, so will be interesting to see if there was any time lost or gained in these pit stops. But
yeah, well, let's see. So John's coming in now, so he's done the 1 lap overcut.
Yep. So we'll see. He was 5.5 seconds.
Yeah, 5.5 behind Shady. So it'll be interesting to see if he's gained a little bit, or if Shady's outlap is an absolute banger.
We see Murphy's into the pits as well.
I nearly reckon Shady's got it. Like he's coming into the sector 3 now, and John still hasn't parked it just yet.
Yeah, I dare say that there's potentially going to be a bit of extra time between the two of them, as Shady looks like he's popped out absolutely a cracker of an outlap, and now that those tyres are warm, he will be absolutely on the hammer and tong. As he comes through the bus stop now, and it looks like John still isn't moving at this stage.
No, I think he's going to have him, if I'm honest. Just by quite a margin too.
Yeah, it's not so much just a case of whether he's just got him or not. It's going to be a case of what's margin going to be like, because John's only moving now, but we've got Shady moving at full pelt just about to go through Uru, so he's going to pass him now. And he's going to have all that momentum down the straight. So that is going to be a pretty significant gap as John comes up to speed. So we've got Shady in first. John's still in second.
We'll see what the gap is. 6.3. So yeah, he gained nearly a second in the stop.
We see that Stu is provisional 3 at this point in time. He's done an amazing job climbing up the field to get into that position. He's another 7 seconds or so off John at this point in time. And then we've got Hill. Mags was back out as well.
So her Sue was P3, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so they've kind of all filtered into their normal spots. They've kind of... The guys here were all in a battle pack. And they've kind of... The stops kind of... Split them
spread
apart
everyone
again.
out, yeah, absolutely. They were all... There was a few tussles going on at that point where... there were a few spicy positions potentially up for grabs, but now that everyone's kind of done their pit stop and come out, there's some big spaces kind of filled up with this top 10 at this point in time. As we see, White is, 12 seconds off Sinjodo, who had to serve that. Actually, no, Sinjodo, he pitted really early. After copying a penalty, and so he looks to have served that, and he's kind of looking to be provisional 8th at the moment, it looks like, but he's still a good 2 to 3 seconds off Tufig at the moment, who's a good 3.5 seconds off Mags, who's a good 2 seconds off Hill, and then the gaps ever increase. So everyone's really spread out at this point in time and just kind of left to their own devices, but we'll see how they go. Kevin coming out in 15th is a phenomenal effort and may potentially even jump 3 more positions as the final lot of pit stoppers have made their stop. So yeah, your prediction of him jumping up towards the top 10 has been just about spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. It's on board with Kumar, who's only under a second to White. So this little battle pack is gonna heat up, as you've got Maddox is quite a clear way down the road. Yes, and Jodo's kind of. I wonder how much his tyres are gonna wear off towards the end, though, if he can maintain that.
Yeah, that's the real question. One that's going to be hard for him to get the answer that he wants, because Spa has been pretty brutal on tyres, and if he's being conservative about it, he might be able to hold on, but I dare say that his tyres will be feeling very sore shortly. King there with his DT, I dare say that's a track limits drive through, and that will be the most painful track limits penalty that you will ever experience, King. Unfortunately, that is just the worst.
And King, as what we've just heard, is just... Oh, Keys, right. So Glenn is on it for us. So Keys also served a drive through just a few minutes ago. So there's a couple here extending those track limits, looking for that extra few tenths, that extra second in terms of the lap times. As we watch Lai just absolutely maul Kumar into the braking zone and parks the bus right on the apex, and thanks for coming. What a move.
Yeah, that's textbook. Textbook attack and defend through the bus stop. That was just really well done. super calculated, super chill, just knew where he had to put the car, and yeah, Kumar just didn't have a response for that. There's not much he can really do in that situation. It was just textbook.
Nah, especially against like as we said, like the McLaren is quite the strong car here. So as Kumar has a absolute brown pants moment.
Spicy little tail wag on the curb there. That is definitely a brown flag moment, and that is one of the things you do not want to experience going through Eau Rouge flat out. Is that little curb that can get the car all unsettled, and then there's the little bump at the top which can finish the job. So well done for Kumar for keeping it straight. I'm sure he is sweating just a little bit. But now to look forward and see if he can keep roughly on the back of Kevin, who's already on the back of White. So definitely Kevin is the biggest mover and shaker, I'd have to say, of tonight's race.
Yeah, it was unfortunate what happened to him early on as he was running in fourth, but that's what happens at tracks like this. It requires so much concentration for the entire lap.
There's not much let up here.
Nah, there's not much let up. There's not much, and one small moment where you're not fully concentrating and bam, you can just lose it all.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one that you've just got to be on for the whole lap to get that time, and for it being... We see Shady did a 2:16 or so in race. Oh, here we go, on board with Kumar. Let's see the hand movements as he goes up. He's just got a little bit of a... Oh. Look at that.
His life flashed before his eyes going up there, hugged
What a
like
save.
a million times.
Whoa. You love to see it. You gotta keep it a little bit spicy every now and then. You can't get too complacent.
Nah, absolutely not. You can't. So, I mean, he'll do a lift up through here. There's no way he takes a full pelt.
I'd be interested to see if he did lift through a ruse there for just a fraction of a second, just to be like, you know what, not again. It was a very, very tidy line this time through, so I dare say. But no, good job, Kumar. You're keeping it forward, mate, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's it. And he's still in a battle here. Like, he lies stretched the gap out quite significantly already. And is trying to rein in Maddox, but he could just look at White and see if he can gain that P12, which is a respectable result here.
Yeah, 100%. But he does have to be careful. He does have Webb. So this is the lap. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, sensible
Very
and
tidy,
safe.
sensible line. There we go. I do not blame him in the slightest after what occurred the lap before. So sensible plays here.
That was, yeah, I was going to call him a madman if he was going to go up there after that save next lap. Just full pelt.
That would have been ballsy. Would have been ballsy, but he better consider going flat next time, because he does have Webb directly behind him. Reeled that gap down to just half a second now, as he goes a little bit wide into the bus stop, so Webb even gaining more time, and we might see a battle for position here for 13th.
Yeah, well, I reckon it's also probably put him in a mindset as Webb almost takes out the rear end of the Ferrari there. I reckon it's just also probably put in his mind that he's going to be overslowing and scrubbing a lot of corners. Not just this one as we're going through right now. as we got watching on board from Webb's point of view. And yeah, Webb's just going to sit right on the tail of him for the next 16 minutes and see if he can force a mistake.
See what he's... Yeah, he kind of lifted a little bit there. He was only doing 272, 273 down the back straight. As we see Kuma getting a little bit crossed up over the curbs there, and Webb looking to see if he can pressure that mistake. He's going to show the nose a little bit. I don't know if he's going to go for the actual move, but just letting Kumar know that, hey, I am here and I'm not going away anytime soon. But,
Nah,
yeah.
exactly. So, and he's just all over the back of him now. Like, this is going to... Let's see how much pressure he can withstand.
Yeah, no, we definitely know Kumar can handle the pressure. We've just seen him go sideways through a rouge and not break a sweat. So he's just got to put that Ferrari in all the right places, make it the widest Ferrari on track, and see if he can hold Webb back. But as far as Webb's concerned, all he really needs to do is just keep applying that pressure, see if he can stick in the slipstream and potentially make a move down at the end of one of these straights with the bigger braking zones. But he might be running a bit of a higher downforce setup here, as we see that he doesn't really gain too much time in a straight line against the Ferrari. So we see Kuma going very wide again, so a bit of a deja vu from last lap. We also see Rama lose the rear end of his McLaren, so he was also kind of gaining up on this little pack. You'll see some blue flags. A little bit of a tidier line from Webb there. He's going to be right on the back of Kuma as they go through Rouge. We'll see if it gets a little bit spicy down here. Webb with a little bit of aero wash up here is going to have to place that car perfectly. They go up one by one, and we'll see if Webb has the legs to potentially gain. It looks like he's not gaining on him really that much at all, to be honest. Kumar did go defensive, but it really didn't look like it was like the move was ever going to be on.
We also have, as you look into the bottom right corner of the screen, we have Zahali and Sanjoto battling over P8, separated by 0.3. So Sanjoto's on those old tyres as well, so it'll be interesting to see how much he can hold on and just eke out that last little bit of life from them in 13 minutes.
Yeah, I think the fresher tyres on that Ferrari are going to be smeared all over the back of Sanjoto. With only 13 minutes remaining, plus a minute and a half or so, depending on where our final lap ends up, I just don't know if Sanjoto can make those tyres last. And no doubt, at least by the end of the race, they will be screaming at him. As we see that there is potentially a bit of a move on into the chicane. The Hardy takes just doesn't make the move, but he's definitely letting Sanjoto know that he's there. We'll see if the Ferrari has the legs against Sanjoto's setup in his McLaren as we go down into, as I called the ketchup before, and we go down the start straight into Eau Rouge. Seems like he lost out a little bit during the first corner there, actually, so it'll be interesting to see how much he can gain down the straight if he does get into the slipstream and McLaren in front.
He still had, you watched the him just through there, he had a slight lift going up there, so I don't know if he's just not fully confident in the car right now, but yeah, hopefully he can use the tyre life and the tyre deg to his advantage to kind of just get, as he climbs all over the back of Sanjoto here, so he's got to really not force his hand, but kind of just constantly let him know he's there. Can't let him out of his grasp, really.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see, Sanjoto is beginning to struggle a little bit with some of these slower speed corners where you really rely on that mechanical grip. We're really just relying on that tyre to stay alive. So we do see there's a little bit of toing and froing here as the different cars kind of have their different strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, if he can use that fresher tyre life to his advantage, just keep the pressure on all. See a little bit of a swivel there. Gives Sanjoto a little bit of breathing room, but as you see, Sanjoto's just missed the apex of that right-hander completely. Going a little bit wide. We'll see if the Ferrari can get a decent top speed being in the back of the slipstream. He is only 3/10 behind Sanjoto. As we see Macaulay with a 10-second penalty for causing a collision on lap 19. It's not what we want to see. I think that's Macaulay's second infringement for tonight, unfortunately.
Yeah, it just hasn't been his race, really.
No, it has not. You see Webb still in the back of Kumar. And that's kind of invited... Who's that? Ramar? Yeah, that's Ramar right behind him. So this little two-man battle's now become a three-man battle. And we've got two very pacey McLarens being held up by the Ferrari. But I have to say, Kumar's done a fantastic job defending Webb off for the last few laps.
Yeah, Kumar's definitely made the Ferrari as wide as Belgium itself to try and keep his position, which is like, and he'd be sweating a little bit, but he's shown his mettle here, just keeping the car where it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see that it's going to be all sorts of spiciness as we go out. We're going to look to go 2 wide. There's going to potentially a 3 wide if the pace is there. We are going to go 3 wide. This is going to be... Who's going to back out first? Ramar backs out first. Kumar loses the rear. We see a bit of a slide there as we see White take the position, but now Kumar's got very hungry Ramar right behind him. I can't believe going 3 wide into there was not as uneventful, but didn't end up in absolute catastrophe.
Yeah, look, it was good wheel to wheel by all of them involved, and good that they didn't take anyone out or didn't take themselves out. So now Kumar again has got to face the pressure of another McLaren behind him.
He's just got rid of one, and now the second one said, "Hello, it's my turn." And you see that was potentially a little bit of the cork in the bottle there, as White has definitely decided to bugger off a little bit, but we've seen the gap between Kumar and Ramar's increased a little bit there. He, I don't know if there was a mistake, but Kumar here has got a little bit of breathing room down the straight. We don't think Ramar's in the slipstream at this point in time, so hopefully he can just take a sip of water and chill out for 2 seconds and hopefully keep a little bit of distance here between himself and the McLaren behind, but we'll see how long that lives out for.
As we hop back to Zahali and Sanjoto, who are still battling it out, and Zahali's kind of there. He's a bit closer this lap round, so let's see if he can get that slipstream down the straight, but that McLaren in a straight line is a rocket ship.
Yeah, we see he's 274 there, I think it was on the speedo, so even in the slipstream it looks like it's not quite got the legs to gain any sort of incredible distance, as Macaulay now has a DT, so his night has gone from bad to worse,
It's just
unfortunately. And we'll
like
watch
rainfall,
him.
and it just keeps going and going.
Mate,
and
when it
going.
rains it pours. It's just, yeah, unfortunate for him. It's just not been his night, and sadly that'll be it for him just about, with only 6 minutes to go. He's about to spend a good minute of it in the pit lane.
Hopefully he can just get out and back out and track and just bring it home. Just, you know, safe and steady and just bring it home. You're almost there.
Try and just bring home whatever points you can get to just get those final positions sorted in the championship. As we see, looking down the order, Shady is nearly 8 seconds in front of John, so their pace has been very considerable, considering that there was a 6.5 second difference when they had finished their pit stop. So Shady's only gained a second or so on John in the last 25 minutes or so, so they have been very speedy all night and have left the rest of the field in the distance. Sue is 13 seconds behind, has done a fantastic job climbing the order there to get himself onto the bottom step of the podium. As we see, Zahai there just almost clipping the back of Sanjoto there. He's starting to get a little bit impatient, I think, if anything, just knowing that that McLaren is on old tyres and is struggling in certain portions of the track. But we see, so yep, Sue leading the Pro-Am by a giant country mile. And then Drea there leading Silver Class. So he's looking to take out the Silver Championship at this point in time with that unfortunate retirement from Carl Johnson. And then the remaining of the Pro classes there, you've got Hill, Mags and Tafik, all running about 2 to 3 seconds apart from one another. And then we've got this battle on camera now with Sanjoto and Zahai still going at it. Sanjoto making that McLaren as wide as he can possibly take it. I'm sure Zahai will be sick of seeing the rear end of that McLaren and will be no doubt dreaming about that for the rest of the night. Hopefully looking to put a bit of pressure on, but it looks like Sanjoto just isn't cracking. He's been at it now for a little while on these very, very used tyres and has done a fantastic job keeping that Ferrari at bay.
Yeah, it's what we were talking about earlier in the night, where it's so it's a hard track to pass on, and Sanjoto probably has that in the back of his mind. He's just using, as Zuhali gets all over the curb there, using it to his advantage and just saying, well, you're going to have to be that much faster than me to overtake me. Yeah, okay, you've got the pace to keep up with me compared to my old rubber, but let's see if you can go pretty much above and beyond.
Yeah, that's it. You almost need a pretty significant pace difference here to really make that move stick. Like you said, it's just if there's only a slight difference in speed and in pace, then it's one thing to stay on the back of someone, but it's another thing entirely to get past them here. It's just one of the natures of this track.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one thing to get close to someone, as we've said. It's another thing to pass them altogether.
Absolutely. As we see, it looks like Zahai had a pretty good run through a Rouge there. He's definitely right up in the slipstream of that McLaren. Slowly gaining on him, but as I said, just doesn't seem to be making much ground. Or as we see that there is a gigantic half of the back.
Sadness.
We see even Maddox here take the esports line over the bumps and losing out to Kevin Lai, who's actually...
Lai is just...
He's going to be up into
P8
P8 after that, so that's going to be a fantastic outcome for him. He is absolutely licking his chops now going, you beauty, thank you very much.
Well, it's only 4 spots down from where he was in P4, so that's an incredible drive to come back from where he was.
Yeah, absolutely. With only what will I imagine will be one more lap to go after this one. He has secured himself a fantastic position considering the circumstances, but that unfortunate little tap there from Zahai there, it looks like just maybe was half thinking about making a move, didn't really have an overlap there on the outside, and then just kind of tapped him a little bit as they've gone into the apex of that corner. So just a really unfortunate incident there for a battle that had been brewing for so long and had been such good racing. It's unfortunate to see it kind of end in that way.
Yeah, and you don't want to see it end that way, and there comes the penalty. Quick and
Time.
swift. Yeah, kind of like an executioner, really. It's just like, bam, have that. But he was kind of like, it looked like he was caught between two minds. It's like, do I not? Do I not? And predictability is a massive thing in sim racing. Like, and he just didn't have that kind of mindset with him going into that sequence.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw a few instances before that the frustration must have just been potentially creeping in there, and the pressure wasn't working. So Jodo was staying cool as a cucumber that entire time, and yeah, it was just getting harder and harder to get past. And sometimes, like I said, you just get into two minds about whether you make the move or not. And frustration kicks in, and unfortunately, the swift 15 seconds is fallen upon him.
I mean, like, yeah, it sucks because they had a really good battle there for so long and were so clean and consistent. But it's at the end of the day, it's racing. It sucks as we jump on board with the replay. And yeah, you just watch him. So he's just missed the braking marker completely.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's like, oh, can I pull it up? Can I steer into it? When he probably, like, looking at it in hindsight, you probably should have just left and out onto the runoff.
Backed off. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, that target asphyxiation is definitely a thing, and
because we just had Shady cross the line for the win. What a dominant display!
The end of the race. We were too busy getting caught up as he does the celebratory spin around, doing donuts for days. We see John come over in second and Sue in third, leading Pro-Am. So that is a fantastic effort from him.
Yeah, and a fantastic effort from Dreyer too. Has he run out of fuel? Oh, did he run out of fuel or no? Oh, boys are going to have a little bit of a wrestling match. That's okay. As you see, Tafiq coming across the line. Lai will come across the line as well as Maddox in P8s, and Jodo will be making his way behind Maddox into P9. And Zahali is.
And I think Sue's already disconnected, so everything's kind of shuffled up a little bit.
Yep. Okay.
And yeah, White and Webb. So that battle was still going on as well. Kumar comes across in 13th after a tremendous effort trying to keep White and Webb at bay. And then Bushell Palmer comes across with his little wiggles.
What a car.
And Ramar, he's got a drive-through penalty. He was right up there battling Kumar, Webb and White at one point as well, so he's had a bit of an issue and has now been dished out the dreaded
track limits
drive-through. Yeah, so that's unfortunate for him. You see the two BMWs of Lau and Doe come across the line together. And that is your split red for this season.
Well, it was probably the battle packs towards the kind of middle to back were very good, but up the front it was kind of a bit more of a procedural affair.
Yeah, that battle for around that top 10 positions were looking very spicy at one point, but yeah, Shady John ran away with it in tonight's race. Fantastic effort from them. As we go through the race standings, so we had.
Oh, you go.
Yeah.
Go.
Thank you. So we had Shady in first, followed by John and Sue, with Drea, Hill and Mags. Moving on to Silver class, we had Drea, who takes out the Silver class championship, I believe. After that, followed by Zahai and Bushel. In the Pro-Am, we had Sue with a fantastic effort, followed by White and Webb. And our solo AM of Lau representing. Well, yeah, that's it for Split Red.
Thanks. Thank you, chat. Thanks, Glenn and everyone for tuning in, for the comms, for the broadcast. Thanks, Luke, for joining me in the box. And
My pleasure,
also,
sir. Thank you, man.
coming up tomorrow night is the final round of the Sim Magic GE3 Cup, where you see the best pros and pro-ams in the region go at it head-to-head at Spa as well. Probably some saucy weather, maybe, hopefully, on the way. But yeah, tune into that one as well. Big action-packed night.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, everyone. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to leave a like before heading out, and we will see you next time in a new season.